I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more. Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd seen a deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire echoed across the boards. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. I searched for epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still somehow I'm considering when the next game's nigh, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I'll always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true.
Oh, Mario, you red Italian moron. Brain fucked up like a Goron's. Gotta start taking score of all the dumb shit that you've done. You were always a dick, but this is even far for you. Now people gotta pick. What do you think they should do? They can either buy a new game or live in a house. They can greet Mario or replace food with a mouse. Started living off brew. Take my kids out of school. Sell all of my shoes and my many beautiful jewels, just so I can be Italian. I'll say it again. The hell is that about? My daughter doesn't like me, she like Donkey Kong. Me, I'm a stupid man and doing anything wrong. It's like a monkey or some kind of Sasquatch, but he costs as much as my dick and my balls. Nothing to why. Why did you do this to me? Why? Somebody should something. As long that is nothing, cause everyone's gonna buy it. Unless you're fucking poor, 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 poor. Hey, guy from the Legend of Zelda, I'm talking to you, guy from the Legend of Zelda. You're talking to me. Fuck it costs less money. Fuck it costs less money. Fuck it costs less money. Did you ever hear the story about bottom fishing? Bottom fishing.
Sorry, the song ended really abruptly, and I was ready for like a finale, and then it just skipped to the next one that is some random song from someone else. So I guess we just start there. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? How's the day? It's hot in here, or I'm feverish. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna crank the AC. Let's do it. How are you guys? Couldn't get that one center. Hey, honestly, I kind of like it. It was like a smoother vibe, like a little bit of gravy, you know, that kind of thing. It worked well. I'm doing good. I guess I could share this. There were two things I saw that were funny. For one, this morning of all places, YouTube Gaming posted this, and it's just, wait, who's this creator? Top guess is Asmongold, naturally. But secondly, people figured out it was me, which is kind of cool to be on YouTube Gaming. I'll take it. The other thing I saw that was really funny I wanted to share, this has nothing to do with gaming at all, but I thought this was really funny. A wild report from the National Weather Service confirms that an Indiana Amish community was hit by a tornado on April 3rd. Tragic. That's terrible. But they had already completed all of the roof repairs on the same day, so the National Weather Service couldn't even estimate the damage. They had already fixed all of the roofs that had been ripped off by the tornado in a few hours. It's literally the Amish meme from Family Guy. It happens. I heard a story of, it was kind of through the grapevine, but I have some family that were looking to build some stuff out east. And like, they wanted to basically build like a big sort of like wedding venue, Airbnb venue, where like there's a bunch of little houses and huts and whatever. And they got the quote from like a commercial builder, and it was millions. You know, it was ridiculous. And they were like 6 months. It was going to be a whole thing. And then somebody told them, you should go talk to the Amish community over there. They will do jobs and like build it for you. They'll do it way faster and probably way better. So they got the quote from the Amish people, and it was like, no joke, a 1/10 of the price. And they got it built. They ended up hiring. They ended up building it in the span of like a couple of weeks, the entire complex. Like they're built different, and they build it different. I'll tell you what, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, the memes and the stereotype holds true. It seems to hold true. Let's see. Do you think Ubisoft will make a 60 FPS update for the Ezio collection on PS5 to celebrate AC's 15th anniversary? Maybe. I think a lot of resources right now are going into the Black Flag remake. I think that's where a lot of the effort's going. And I don't blame them. Whoops, the song's still playing. Oop, there we go. Super Sagittarius. Sorry. Thank you. Just upgraded your membership to show off. Officially a show off tier member. Let's get it. Go team. Love that. Love to see it. Yeah, today is in fact the launch day for pre-orders in some areas for the Switch 2. So some people will be getting those. Not if you're in the US or Canada. But if you are elsewhere, you can pre-order it today. Just bear in mind, they did confirm that you will have to pay to use that C button on the controller. If you don't pay for the subscription to use it, when you accidentally press this, when trying to press the home button, it will pull up a page that asks you to join the online membership. Yeah. just take that in for a second. They literally monetized a button on the controller you can't use unless you pay for a subscription. Apple's not even done that. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, C for cash. C for cash. Yeah, the as you can see here. So what happens if you aren't a subscriber and press the C button? Not much, Vice President of Player and Product Experience Bill Trinan told Polygon. You would be able to find out about the NSO, Nintendo Switch Online, whatever, subscription there, and get a sense of some of the functionality. So if you press the button, it pulls up a page that tells you about their online subscription. It really is amazing. Like they just, every rake they could step on, they are managing it. And you'll see, I just posted a video on the main, like, big channel. And in that video, I've had enough. We go through all of this stuff, all of the little tidbits. And I think I do a decent job summarizing all of it and all the drama and tea. But basically at this point, I feel like Nintendo is basically just daring people not to buy it. And they even had the statement from Doug Bowser saying, yeah, if you can't afford the Switch 2, then basically, you know, if you don't like the price, then you can't afford it. And if you can't afford it, that's why we still sell the original Switch. It's literally almost word for word exactly what Don Matrix said back in the day with the Xbox One. Oh, you don't like the always online functionality of the Xbox One, that you can't play it unless you're connected to the internet? Well, you can just buy a 360. Like, we all know how well that went for them. We all know. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I just won't get one. Maybe if enough of us just don't buy it and don't bite, all of the sales will be below expectations, and then maybe they make an adjustment. But at this point, I'm like, I do not need Mario Kart World that bad. Call me crazy. I don't. I'll be okay. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, I won't buy it. I'm good. I'm good, fam. I'm good. Again, maybe it makes sense in a year, but as of right now, I'm like, I don't want to reward this crap. This bull honky.
Cool Master Manga donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you, my friend.
Love your reviews and commentary on gaming. I have to ask, and it's about Bethesda. The big Oblivion remake supposedly dropping this month. Your thoughts? Haha.
Haha, keeping awesome. Dude, thank you, Cool Master Manga, for the 10. Very generous. I shall heart that with love, for I love you. My thoughts on it, I find it interesting. I think it does well. The idea that they're shadow dropping it is also interesting to me. Because it seems like something you would maybe market a little bit more. But I think that there's a couple of things happening here. For one, Xbox, they're dumping a lot of games out first half of this year. Of course, we're going to have Doom in the first half. South of Midnight already came out. Even Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is launching on Game Pass. It's not exclusive, but it is part of their Game Pass lineup. And allegedly, they have this Oblivion remake that they're talking about shadow dropping at some point in April. And you got to give pause and be like, why are they doing that now? You know, why not wait until late summer, like August timeframe, into the fall? The obvious one is like GTA 6. I think Fable originally was going to slide into that like slit in the lineup, but that of course got delayed. So now they're like big title, which would have been Fable for the fall, is just not there. So they've kind of pivoted, and now their focus is going to be on the Outer Worlds 2, which they just announced is getting its own sort of Starfield direct. You remember Starfield, they had this for that game too, where they had the Xbox showcase, and then they did 40, 50 minutes just on Starfield. They last year, I think, did it for Call of Duty. Now they're doing it for the Outer Worlds 2 this summer, which I think is good. So this pretty clearly is going to take that slot now. But again, I think more than anything, it's a reflection of the GTA 6 approach or effect. Nobody wants to be close to it. And so if you can get all your games out in the first half of the year, they'll stand a chance. I know some people have been like, oh, maybe they have another secret announcement. Maybe they have something else. Well, they should have another expansion for Starfield a year later, but they should, in theory. And beyond that, like, I don't really know what else they'd be swinging. Of course, you got to now factor in they have Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty, one of the biggest releases every year, is now an Xbox game, so that's part of their lineup. Gears, if it doesn't get delayed, that's the thing. I would have thought that this would have been for Gears. Seems like that would be more of the like big centerpiece game that they would showcase a lot. I would feel like, I don't know. I'm thinking delays are likely at this point, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I think if it were coming like November or October or something, they would have done this showcase for Gears of War. But who knows? Maybe Outer Worlds 2 is like way bigger and more ambitious than we thought. Who knows? But it is interesting that is the focus. Beyond that, yeah, what I kind of lost track of where I was going. The big Oblivion remake, just in general. I have a feeling that's going to be a much smaller project than I think people are expecting. The fact that they want to shadow drop it is surprising to me. I think it'll look good in screenshots and stuff, but it's in Unreal Engine. I don't think they're going to have the same like physics stuff in it. I don't think they're going to have a lot of the same, like, of course, AI behaviors. It's all being rebuilt for this. So I think like either it plays way, way, way better than the original, which I think would be surprising, but maybe, or it's just going to feel like kind of a soulless reskin of a game that you played ages ago, and it won't kind of scratch that same nostalgic itch. I don't know. I'm optimistic about it. I'd like to see it be successful. It's from Virtuos, I think is the Virtuos, I believe is the studio. Yeah, I believe these are the guys making it. It's been rumored. And they mainly do co-development on games. So you can see like they touch a little bit of everything. Like even Cyberpunk, some of those ports, they helped on those. Leapfrog, kart racing, Supercharge. Bubble Safari. LA Noire, they did help on that. Horizon Zero Dawn, they helped on that. Yeah, all of these Switch ports, okay. PUBG Battlegrounds on Stadia specifically, they helped on that. So like they've done a lot of helping and like support work for all sorts of different studios. They did the remaster for Outer Worlds. Yeah, one of the biggest things people complained about, the remake's initial reviews were largely focused on performance issues such as stuttering. So we'll see. You can see they also co-directed or co-developed an update for Cyberpunk as well. So it's a huge studio. They have 4,200 employees, and you probably have never heard of them. But I think this is just because they're a massive support studio that generally stays in the background. But allegedly, they're like the main guys working on this remake. So we'll see. I'm optimistic though. Rabid Dog Killer, what a name, just gifted 2 memberships to the community back to back. Thank you, my friend, and welcome to, looks like G Mendez got one of the gifted memberships and the other went to Musi. So welcome, guys. Thank you. Welcome. Schedule 1, have I played it yet? Not yet. When I went to Bungie, a bunch of the people there were talking about it, so I need to try it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I need to. Okay. I guess we could also look at this. So they've actually already shared some footage of Outer Worlds 2. Should we look at it? I guess we should. News segment. So in sort of a surprise info dump, they just revealed that Xbox, of course, is doing their showcase. That's not a surprise or anything, but their showcase is going to be shared with an Outer Worlds 2 Direct, which previously has been held for like Xbox's biggest stuff of the year. Starfield had one where it's like 45 or 40, 50 minutes of a deep dive in that game after the main showcase. Last year's for Call of Duty. And then this year they're doing it for the Outer Worlds 2. Again, kind of makes me think that they've delayed that they've delayed Gears, because I think if that were coming later this year still, we would see it here. So the fact that it's not here makes me think that that maybe got delayed, but time will tell. But as part of this, you know, it shows and I think signals that they're putting a lot of money on Outer Worlds 2. Well, IGN actually got the first dibs of gameplay just an hour ago. They just posted this. So I want to see what it looks like. If you've not played the original game, then you might not be too familiar with it. But basically, this is like just like Avowed was to Elder Scrolls. Think of this as an Avowed version of Fallout, like space Fallout, almost Starfield in a way. It's just it's much tighter in scope. It's a little bit more narrow. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna vent for a second. IGN has 19 million subscribers. 19 million. I don't know how many millions upon millions of dollars they bring in every year, but it's enough to have a massive staff and all of this. They have been given the opportunity to reveal the first 11 minutes of exclusive gameplay by Xbox, one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. And they couldn't fix the screen tearing. They couldn't turn on VSync for this capture. Like, look at this. Just, you can always tell on these like railings and stuff, it's tearing so bad. It's just rippling through the entire image. It even cuts off the lamps and stuff. Like, seriously, how does this happen? It's the same thing. I asked somebody at Ubisoft, somebody who works at Ubisoft, how on earth they got given access, like IGN got given the gameplay footage for Star Wars Outlaws. Because you remember there was that one gameplay trailer that looked horrible. And it was like the quest with the Sarlacc pit and everything. And the explosions looked bad. It was over compressed, made it look like a PS2 game. It was awful. And I asked somebody at Ubisoft how on earth that happened. And that individual told me, yeah, it's the upper executives. They see the 19 million number for IGN. Everybody's heard of IGN, so they give them the exclusive access, and they don't know what they're doing. It's amazing to me. It's crazy. Like, wow. Jacob will attest. I have like reshot entire videos that we've spent hours on just to fix this problem. If we have screen tearing in the capture, I'll restart the entire thing. I don't care if it delays the video by a day or two. We just have to deal with it. We have to fix it. But no, it's IGN. I guess I shouldn't expect too much from a 19 million sub channel. But to the gameplay specifically, you can see we've got a companion. We can see that there is a good amount of lighting detail as well. I appreciate that. The first game looked really, really flat just across the board. It was vivid, don't get me wrong, but it was very flat. So this looks nice.
The rift is my gateway to transcendence. My piety is the key.
This is not just for Star Wars, for Outer Worlds 2. I do love it when NPCs just start talking about random crap. They're just like standing on a bridge. My religion, the Deus Ex Machina, it fills me with hope. And one day I will travel the stars. I hope no one kills me before that. You know, I love it when it's like a bad guy having a soliloquy right before he gets jumped by Batman. It's the same thing. It's like, don't think about it too much, but it's campy. I like it. Body found. Ooh. Shooting grenades in midair. That's cool. I do love my my status effects. Little acid damage. Love that. Some bits of loot. Load screens, let's get it.
Now this is just sloppy. If I wasn't already here to kill all these traitorous fools, I'd be forced to use one or two as an example to the rest.
Okay. What game was it? There was a game relatively recently that actually let you... Oh, it was High on Life. Some people didn't like how much banter came through the guns when you were playing, how they just constantly made comments, basically as your companions. So they actually had a toggle in the menus where you could turn down the banter if you didn't like it. Some of these games, I kind of feel like you might need that. Sometimes like, maybe we just focus and not talk. The lighting does seem to have like received a significant upgrade. Dude, I'm gonna have a stroke. I swear to God. Like, horrible. My camera's covering the really bad offense, but like, it makes me nauseous seeing it tear this bad. It's amazing. Sorry, I'm a broken record at this point, but damn. Those doors make me think of Rapture. Am I alone in that? I just want a new Bioshock game.
Cubed divided by the standard rate of fluid flow, and then you multiply by, is it 30 or? Oh, hello.
Look at the state of this poor fool. They just left her bleeding out? Exsanguination is an art. Where's the precision, the pride in their work? This is just embarrassing.
There's a cultist behind you.
I do think it seems like the animations are nice and tight. It's not the like just flat, straight, dead on like conversations you had in the first game. It's actually like they're moving and stuff. It might just be this companion. But some of the banter is like, can we stop? But again, might just be me. I am a boomer at heart. We've been through that before.
Wait.
Might just be me.
Surely she isn't with you. Fine. Just please keep her away from me.
Don't blame you. I want her away from me too. Okay, so you can give items directly there. I do love the UI just clearly communicating you're going to give something, that is what you're giving. It's really clean. You'd be surprised how many games struggle with basic UI elements like that, but this is really, really nice and clean. And it looks like they have the same press the right stick to pull up the full dialogue tree you've gone through. That's nice. You can see another conversation choice dialogue option was locked because we didn't have a high enough medical skill. I like that. I don't think we're gonna see the one of the really cool things I saw in Avowed that I hope is more standard, which was in Avowed there's like highlighted words or nouns, like Victor Clemens would be highlighted, Trauma Kit might be highlighted, Cultist might be highlighted, and then there's a button to press where it basically pulls up a small little like, not quite dictionary, but breakdown of all of those terms. So if you're like, oh yeah, Victor Clemens, who was that? I remember him. And then it describes him. Makes it really easy to jump into conversations and know exactly what's happening in case you happen to have forgotten. But I don't think that that's something they've brought in here. I think this was too deep in development by the time they had that. But that was a really cool thing Avowed did that I hope becomes more standard in a lot of games.
The crazed cultist, people like your friend here have been sowing destruction throughout the range for days.
Oh, so maybe this companion actually is just meant to be like crazy and a little annoying. In which case, okay. As long as not all companions are like, oh, I'm so quirky, I like killing people, oh my god, I'm so bad. As long as they're not all like that, I'm fine, because I can take a different companion, but that might just be this particular one. I will also say the materials work is really, really good. Even just like the fine detail in the lighting, you can always tell on the edges where the lighting shifts from the backlight to the key light on the front. You can always tell how nice the textures are based on how those textures gradate with the light. And as you can see up in the collar and everything, it's really well done. Looks very good.
I've seen few firsthand, but that isn't because they've gone. Rather, I believe they have become visibility deficient.
Okay.
Oh, there's no such thing as invisibility. I can only theorize that their visual forms were sent out of phase when they haphazardly tampered with pressurized N-rays.
Their actions are inexcusable.
Of course.
Science allows us to unveil the wonder of the rifts. We do not disrespect it. Now, is there any science around here we can use to find and kill them?
It's a shame.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm just a boomer, dude. I'm so old. If you're going to have the like blood crazed companion though, I still insist nothing beats Knifey. Let me see if I can just show you a little snippet. Maybe this?
Hey, careful with the merchandise.
Whoa, hold up a bit.
We got a
Let's
fire
listen.
lined up and everything. They're gonna be here any minute. Just patient.
Oi, fuck you! I'm sick of this! I want to tear through someone's guts!
Oh, I think they're talking about Jean's knife.
Fuck you!
Got it, freak. We've had enough of your bullshit.
Yeah, it's your fault Stemulax is dead. I was in love with him. Did you know that? I loved him, and now his head's cut off.
Just the way it should be. Fuck him!
Hey, guess what? I have another secret trick you can use. The power of negotiation. Let's try reasoning with these guys. Knock on the door. Tell me how you want to play this.
Fuck you, insufferable.
Okay, so you go in, you break your way in. Knifey's just on the table.
Fuck yes, thank you! Pleased to meet you. I'm Knifey. Now use me! Let me fucking stop these cocksucking hands!
Oh, just a reminder, don't do anything crazy when you're holding the knife. Just like look at it, see if you like it, put it back. Yeah, thank you.
The fuck? Oh, fuck yes! Finally! You have no idea how long I've been thinking about
you just killed the second love of my life.
Let me in there. Oh, God, this feels amazing.
Oh no, I know when I should leave. Oh God, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, come on, get him.
You know, in some sick kind of way, I always knew this is how I'd die. Stabbed by a talking knife.
In some sick way, I always knew. Do it like that. Have a totally crazy, bloodthirsty guy. Understand that they're going to be like disliked because they're crazy.
The facility is in shambles. We have an N-ray scanner device that may render the cultists far easier for one to locate.
Yes, of course, quite.
The scanner is an optical device designed to detect electrical signals and the N-rays given off by all living beings.
Ah, yes.
Visible or not, the cultists still give off N-rays. It was
Classic.
stored nearby. But with the damage to the facility, you'll likely need to use the maintenance vent on the wall there behind the screen to get anywhere near it. Don't worry. I'll just be here in my deepening puddle of blood.
Kinetic pulse. I kind of like that. That's cool. A nice little breakdown of exactly what it is when damaged by an enemy. See, I like games that don't make you pull up entire menus just to read one little blurb. I appreciate that. It's one of the things I loved most about Fallout 4 was just the simple improvement of making it so when you look at something like a chest or a box or a crate or dress or whatever, you don't have to open an entire full screen menu to go through it. You can just look at it and then it creates like a mini menu you can scroll through and select stuff from. It's great. It's great. Huge improvement. It honestly makes playing like Fallout New Vegas without the mod that adds that kind of difficult. Because it's so much better. It's not even close. So I like these types of things that add the ability to interact with items and find out more about them without having to open up entire menus, because it doesn't seem that intrusive, but every time the animation pulls up to open the menu, it takes a second or a second and a half. You toggle over to the tab you need, you scroll down to the thing you need, the description of what is a kinetic pulse redistributor, or you find that item in your inventory and then it describes it to you, and then you close the menu down. When I could just look at it and you show me. I love that. I love that. It's great. Please, more like this. Take notes, everybody. Have I learned more about Mafia? Maybe. Ask me after we finish this. Ask me again. Opening vent. Just like that. See? No full menu. Don't need that. Just grab it.
Fear not, my brethren. The eyes of the unworthy cannot behold our transcendent forms.
Little spoopy. Okay.
There's the N-ray scanning device the scientist was talking about.
Okay. That's cool. It's like Detective Vision in Arkham City. Not quite like in Asylum, but more like City.
Enemy spotted.
Is your the companion's yelling, enemy spotted.
Homicide always cheers me up.
It is funny you have to put it on to find their bodies so you can loot them. Yeah, that's a good touch.
Is that you, Presiding Bishop? I'm sorry, I haven't had time to clean up. It's so hard to get bloodstains out of our uniforms.
Huh?
You can use it to see the wires connecting this door to the nearest override panel. Try not to electrocute yourself. Don't worry. I'll just be here in my deepening puddle of blood.
Cab. Lots of hand stains everywhere. People are just touching stuff. The controls below for the use case terminal override. If taking part of no, the activated system any more than 3 switches will overload the system. Okay. I bet we're gonna turn on more than 3 switches.
That should do it. Let's get on with the killing.
I imagine that this is just for tutorial purposes to get you this like scanner so you can see stuff, but I do wonder if there's other ways to find out which switches to flip. Like if there's a document that explains it or something. So maybe if this same puzzle is kind of copied over elsewhere, maybe you can find how to solve it multiple ways. So I always like coming up with solutions in different ways. That's cool. See what I mean about the hand stains? People are just making like finger painting on the walls.
You've opened the way forward. Very good work.
Literally finger painting on the walls. I was kind of joking, but it's real. Neutralize Victor. Oh. And then there's a final note.
That's just a taste of what's to come in The Outer Worlds 2 and what we're covering in this month's IGN First. We'll be breaking down character builds, the new flaw system, all the wild and wacky weapons, and how much bigger this sequel is. So, for all your exclusive coverage on The Outer Worlds 2, stick with IGN.
Love to see it. IGN, fix your crap though. Like having that bad a screen tearing for an exclusive, even for like a YouTube channel over 50,000 subs, I would say that's unacceptable. To have 19 million subs and being one of the biggest outlets in the world, to still have this like this many problems with just basic video capture, and it's not just this video, it's been many for like a year and a half, drives me crazy. So figure out your crap. But as for the game itself, I love the art direction. It does seem like lighting's received an overhaul. I am a little I'm cautious now with the writing, because that companion, I'm sorry, is just like it's a cringe fest for me. Maybe I'm just a boomer. It's very possible, but it's just every time I hear her talk, it's like, okay, cool. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. The nice thing about companions being cringe is that there's always another one, so you can just shift and try a different one. I'm okay if there's just like one really cringy companion and you just don't bring them, because then the one or two people that happen to relate to that can use them. But we'll keep an eye on it, because there's nothing more unfunny than somebody trying really hard to be funny when they're not funny, like most of my videos. And like with this, it comes off as like, oh my God, I'm so quirky. I love homicide. Oh, I'm so bad. It's like, stop, please. Just stop. Again, if you're going to go be like crazy, I love killing people in blood and stuff, that's okay. That's a fun character archetype to have for a companion. I like that. Really impulsive. Maybe they get you into combat randomly because they just like fighting. That's fine. That's cool. But I feel like there's a balance. Otherwise, you start to slip into like Borderlands humor. Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. Pretty high. Exactly. It's like, let's calm down. Let's calm down. Because you got to remember, with these games, you're potentially going to be traveling with these people for like dozens of hours. But if it's just the one companion that's kind of cringy, then it's not that big of a deal. And it seems like the tone elsewhere with the other enemies and stuff talking was not like that. So I think it might just be that one, but we'll keep an eye on it. I don't know. Maybe in the comments of this stream clip, people are going to be like, oh my God, Luke, she's so witty. You just don't get it. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. I hope their Parvati level companion, she was great. Oh, there's a Parvati level companion. Yeah, I hope so too. We'll see. Where I was trying to pull up one thing. Okay. Oh yeah, I saw this real quick. Little tidbit. Lupo, of all people, Dr. Lupo, who was at the Marathon Bungie event in Washington that I also attended. I chatted with him. He's a very, very humble, very like kind dude. Like he was, you do not get the vibe that he's like as big of a creator as he is, or as big of a streamer as he is, when you're just chatting with him. Like he'll go talk to anybody. Very, very nice guy. Very, very nice guy. And I'd heard rumblings that he had consulted on the game. I wasn't sure what like specifically the details were, but he apparently has been consulting on Marathon for 6 years. 6 years. Going back to 2019. That's crazy. Being in so early, that's wild. This is what he says.
Marathon is a game, and I can't give you details. But what I can say is it's good, dude. I can say that. I can fucking say that for sure.
Louder? Yeah, I know. This is the max volume. I've got it maxed out.
Sure. I can't talk about a lot of pieces of it. I can't talk about really any of it yet.
I know exactly what's going through his head. He's like, what can I say without breaking NDA? What can I do?
Here's what I can tell you.
Here, volume enhancer. Hold on. I might be able to. Do I even have Chrome installed on this Windows profile? I'm not sure if I do. Because I did have that extension installed on my other profile. But I figured it would be professional to have a separate, like, you know, Windows PC profile, completely separate. You know, that just seemed like the mature and reasonable thing to do. Yes, it is me. Okay. Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, let's see. Maybe. Now is audio just not working at all for it? Or are they gonna not let me listen to it unless I log in on this browser too? Damn, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh my God. Professional streamer, I know, right? I'm used to people's volume being audible. That's one of the things I perhaps falsely assume when we start looking at stuff here. Just log in there. I think that's what they're doing. I think they're actually locking you out of having sound on the video unless you log in fully. And it's working. It's working. I'm doing it. Nope, even then it doesn't work. Okay, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why this isn't working. Okay. Well, maybe if I go to this tab. Nope. Okay. Well, screw me.
This is non-NDA. I have play tested Marathon from Bungie over the course of the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years. I knew about it in 2017, 2018, one of those two, maybe 2018.
Dude.
From what I originally played, I have been involved in this project in a long time. I got involved with this project when it was 4 people. Every iteration I've seen of it has been better than the last iteration.
Which I should mention is not always the case with this. I've done like playtests, previews. I've even consulted on games. I've told you guys about this before, but I've consulted on games, some of which will eventually see the light of day, I'm sure. Others we consulted on and were shut down after a while, probably in light of some of the feedback we had. But like, there's been times where we'll like play test a game and it's version, let's just say 1, and then you play version 2 and it's a little bit better. Then you play version 3 and you can tell somebody got their hands on it. Some executive was like, oh yeah, we'll do this because Fortnite does it. And it's way worse in tons of ways. And you provide the feedback and maybe they double down on it and you just realize, okay, they're not listening to me anymore and they're going a different direction. Or they walk all that back and then adjust it. It's not always the case that games just steadily get better, because sometimes they start to look good and then they veer off and go the wrong way. Yeah, it's not always a given. So to hear that it's just been steadily improving is impressive.
Every time it has gotten better. You realize you've been involved for so long? Molly, I was the first non-Bungie employee to see the game.
I mean, he said when there were only 4 people. There were 4 people working on it when they brought him in for feedback.
It has been better every time I've seen it. And I think I want to level set too. I think that it can be better than what it is right now. Even ignoring the uncompleted portions, like, because what I played is an alpha pre-alpha play test. You know, my time spent playing it every time has been better than the last. I'm excited for if and when they do play tests, if and when release happens, if and when any of that stuff. I'm excited for being able to show you things. I'm excited. I am.
I think he masterfully walked that tightrope. It's tricky to talk about something that you are going to talk a lot about, but you can't talk a lot about yet. And so you're like, okay, what can I say? What's public? What's not? How do I begin to do this? So I think he did well, but I wasn't aware that he was like consulting on it when it was 4 people. Like, they literally brought him in basically as a like co-designer at that point. Like, if you're one of the first 5 people seeing something, that's crazy. That's really, really, really crazy. Also, this is really funny. YouTube Gaming posted this, right? Who's this creator? Jack says, not sure, but I sense they'll have a degree in business finance. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yep. I just get a vibe, you know. he's got that vibe, you know. Oh God, that's funny. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Jor replied. Where did Jor reply on that? Oh, I didn't see Jor reply. Oh, maybe on the original thing. How dare you? How dare you, Jor? T-Dog. T-Dog's a really good dude too. Met him at the event. He's a hoot. He's a funny guy. Yeah, it was funny. At some of these events when they're like first person shooter type things, some of these like hardcore Call of Duty players, they will bring their own controllers, like in their own special little carrying case, because like they've got it fine tuned. They might have swapped out parts. Like, it's exactly how they like it. And there were like a good number, maybe a half dozen different people that brought their own controllers to the event, which I just thought was funny. I was like, I've not seen that before, but makes sense. If you know like exactly how you like things, I don't blame you. I will say I've done some of these events or previews where like, can I please get a new mouse? Like, this mouse is like painful to use, but whatever. First world problems, right? First world problems. I I also want to touch on this real quick. We will be doing the podcast today. Don't you worry. I'm hoping to get the Jorah emote. I might have found a workaround. So maybe we get the Jorah emote ready for the podcast. I might be able to do that. We'll see. I think I found a workaround though. But I wanted to talk about this real quick. So let me see if I can find the original. Okay. There it is. Open the link. Okay. So, new mini segment kind of thing that'll catch up on super chats and stuff. Thank you, everybody. Okay. I have an Android. Yeah, I have an Android now. I used to have an iPhone. Then I used both an iPhone and an Android. I had a business phone and a personal phone. And then I just went to using the S25 because the dual SIM works really well. So I can have two phone numbers on one phone. And all of those Apple AI features were just so bad that they made the phone like close to unusable, especially the dictation. I do most of my like writing, texting, everything, emails through voice to text. And the Apple voice to text keyboard is laughably terrible. So I bailed. Jumped ship, and I've not looked back. This thing's awesome. Tell you what. Having said it, though, let's touch on this real quick. So, news segment. We all know Nintendo has not had the best April so far. They revealed their highly anticipated console, and people thought it looked solid. Maybe not that exciting because it's just kind of like an iterative improvement, but you know, looked better than the OG Switch for sure, except for like the OLED version. But then they announced the price at $450, and people were like, "Oh, okay, $450 in the US, $630 in Canada. It's got to be like $6,000 in Australia, whatever." And it just kept getting worse. Like they then reveal that the like Nintendo game demo thing explaining how the Switch 2 works and all that, they're charging $10 for that. They announced that the C button, I kid you not, people at the top of the stream didn't believe me when I said this. The C button right here, the C button, they've monetized it. If you do not pay for the Nintendo Online membership, when you press this button, quote, not much happens, according to the vice president of player and product experience. You'll be able to find out about the NSO subscription there and get a sense of the functionality. So basically, if you don't have the membership, when you press that button accidentally, it pulls up a page telling you about the subscription and asking you to like join. They've literally monetized a button on the controller. Like, just imagine if Xbox had a dedicated button on the controller and it's like, yeah, when you press it, it pulls up the Game Pass and asks you to join Game Pass if you're not already. Like, we'd be like, get out of here. What are you talking about? Like, come on. Especially, they put it right here because you know you're going to accidentally press this. You know, we've all played Switch games where you accidentally take 15 screenshots because of where they put that stupid button. This is the same kind of thing. It's going to happen many, many, many times. Many, many, many times. And so monetizing buttons was not on my bingo card, but they're doing that. Some Scotch tape or like epoxy or super glue. You just put it on the button, scrape it off so it's flat and smooth. It dries and cures. And then you can't press it even if you want to. Problem solved. So they've just been screwing up time and time again. But the latest thing that they did, which is just really hilarious, was an interview that Mr. Bowser, the president of Nintendo of America, he gave this interview and he talked about all of this. And he, you know, their approach has basically been to say, we think the pricing is appropriate. We think our level of effort, the scale of the game, how much replayability is in it, we think that will justify the price with customers. Okay, it kind of dodges the question of whether this sets up like it does set a bad standard, and it raises the bar on AAA pricing. It just does. Just like people said back when NBA 2K21 raised the price to $70, people were saying back then, no, it's just for sports games. No, it's just for the big, like Call of Duty sports games like Madden, FIFA, NBA. Like, it's not going to spill over. It spilled over, and it became the new standard for AAA games, launching at 70. This is just how it works, okay? But okay, their tactic is to just say, we think it's fair, and just not talk about it. Okay, well, he doubled down even further, and this is where you get really, really hilarious. We recognize, quote, we recognize there are some people that may not be able to afford the Switch 2, and this is like the platform. This includes the game pricing, the subscription pricing, the console pricing, the additional cost that's going to be incurred when people have to buy a microSD expansion card, because like it does have 256 gigs of storage, but they're also doing like up to 4K output, upscaled, sure, but they're doing higher res textures and everything. The games are going to be bigger. And in 2025, 256 gigs of storage on a console is really low. But he's saying, even if all of that's true, there's going to be people that are not able to afford the price point. And this is amazing. That's why we wanted to make the other Switch platforms available. That's why they're still selling the Switch from 2017 and the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite, I think is what it's called, the one that doesn't split apart. They're still selling those. So people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe, be a part of these characters in these worlds, and see value, if you will, in whatever rung of the platform they come in, implying that this is the bottom rung. So yeah, if you can't afford it, brokey, you can buy the lowest tier. Just get in there. Suck it up, loser. Like, it's amazing. And this, you know, many people have brought this up at this point because it's almost exactly mirroring something that Xbox did back in the day. Which really was remarkable, because back in the day, Xbox made it like their goal, their mission, to just make the worst possible policy decisions they possibly could come up with. They had the Xbox One bundled with a Kinect in the box. You could not buy it separate if you wanted to. Later, they backed off of that because it wasn't selling at all. So they took it out of the box so you could buy the Xbox One for cheaper. They also had it so it was always online. If you had an unsteady internet connection, you could not play your video games. Even if previously it was connected to the internet for like installing updates or something, you could not boot the console. Like, you just couldn't unless it was connected to the internet. And they said, yeah, that's just what we're doing. And they made it so like physical copies of games would tie to your console, so you couldn't share your games with other people. It was insane. And you know, this is all setting up what was one of the most hilariously viral moments in gaming history, probably, with the clapback the PlayStation had. But I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But I just want to show you some of these snippets of that era in 2013, because this is not the first time that big companies have made hilariously stupid mistakes like this. Just take this in. This is going to be Don Matrix speaking to our one and only Jeff Keighley about these choices, okay?
A box that is designed to you, trying to create, and how it links games and entertainment, the functionality of the box, some of the advantages that you get of having a box that is designed to use an online state. So that, to me, is a future-proof choice, and I think people could have arguably gone the other way if we didn't do it, and fortunately we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't like it?
If
I appreciate, okay, I can see it on Jeff's face right now. When he puts his hands together, he's pissed. And I think he also knew this clip is going to go hella viral. In that moment, Jeff's like, I could kiss you on the mouth right now. Oh my God, you just gave me such great content. People are going to be watching this in 12 years, still making fun of you. He knew the moment that left Don Matrix's mouth, that's your message. That's your message. buy the 360, buy the console from a decade ago, basically, instead of this new one because you don't like it. Oh, that sucks. Get the old one.
Activity is called Xbox 360.
Right.
Watch this
Stick with
face.
360. That's your message. If you don't, like it.
If
A little smirk. Really?
you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device. I mean, seriously, when I read the blogs and thought about who's really the
if you're like, oh, that was not that bad. I bet it can't get worse. Just wait.
most impacted, there was a person who said, hey, I'm on a nuclear sub.
Right.
And I don't even know what it means to be on a nuclear sub, but I've got to imagine that it's not easy to get an internet connection.
Probably not playing Call of Duty multiplayer.
Well, it's yeah, but I mean, hey, I can't empathize where if I was on a sub, I'd be disappointed.
So
sucks to suck, man. if you're in the armed forces, if you're serving our country on a nuclear sub, military bases, what have you. Yeah. Sucks. Sorry. Like, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing. But this was the chutzpah, the balls, as they say in Japan, of Xbox during this period where they were just making choices that everybody agreed were terrible. But they felt invincible. The 360 was wildly successful. There's no way that this console doesn't sell.
Steel Bones donated $20 through Super Chat. I swear it's a cycle with Nintendo. At this point, every record-breaking console is followed by one mired in controversial choices.
First of all, thank you for the 20. Incredibly generous. Secondly, I think that the reason that this seems cyclical and the reason why, like, PS4, huge for PlayStation, and then they make a couple, like for the PS5, they pivot away from what made them successful in the PS4 era and start investing heavily in live service games that go nowhere and waste billions. Like, I think the reason why you see these companies, good generation, terrible, or middling generation, then bad generation, and then it just kind of spins like that. I think it's because they just get full of themselves. They get arrogant and they think that they can get away with it. And you see that in those interviews with Doug Bowser, with the other executives, Trinan, with Nintendo, where they're asked, like, why is it priced at 80? And the excuse is basically because we think it's worth 80 and people will pay it. That really is the extent of it. It's not like there's some vast, broad explanation. It's just, we think people will pay for it, so we are charging it. And to be fair, every company on earth would charge, like every coffee company on earth would charge $20 a cup if they could, if people would buy it. Everybody would charge as much as possible if they could get away with it. I think why this is so interesting to me is because the arrogance and entitlement that you see in some of these corporate executive suites, it gets exacerbated when they have a really successful generation before. And also because, like, these are not gamers. Say what you will about Phil Spencer. I've always said Phil Spencer, he is a gamer. Like, at times people joke that he's playing too many hours of games because, like, hey, you should be running Xbox right now because he's always online. His profile is public. You can see him. I had that TikTok we had that did like 7 million views of how a player found Phil Spencer in Fallout 76 and like just traded with him, verified it was him, and just casually ran into the CEO of Xbox in game. But it's because he's a gamer. I don't think Jim Ryan is a gamer. I don't think he's booting up the console. I don't think Hiroki Totoki, the head of Sony, I don't think he's playing games in his free time. I don't think they are. But I think Reggie was a gamer. I think Phil's a gamer. I don't think this guy's a gamer. Not Jeff. Jeff is a gamer. I don't think Don Matrick, this guy, I don't think he's a gamer. And I think you could tell. Because for him, he's like, yeah, get over it. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah, it sucks to suck. But with this, there's always an opportunity, okay? When one company fails miserably and trips on the rake and smashes it into their head, there is almost always an opportunity for another company to come in and make them look terrible. And that's exactly what Sony did as they saw all of these blunders from Xbox. What was that really, really, like, Well, I'll show you another one of the Xbox One reveal highlight little snippets, because this is also priceless. And then I'll show you how PlayStation responded to this, okay? But let's look at Dawn real quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Xbox One.
TV experience. TV and movies. TV. Xbox. Watch TV. 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 Watch TV. 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 TV remote. TV experience. TV. 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 Sports TV. 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 Anybody? TV. TV. And
Anybody?
TV.
Y'all have TVs, don't you?
TV. Xbox. Go home.
TV. 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 TV.
Go home.
Sports. 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 Sports.
Sports. Sport. Television. Television.
Oh,
TV,
young Phil
television.
Spencer.
Television, TV. Xbox is about to become the next water cooler. Sport.
I'm sorry. That's so good. That's too good. It's about to become the next water cooler.
Television. I'm thrilled to announce a live-action Halo television series.
Television, TV,
Oh, I'm sure that's going to be great.
Sport.
Television. TV. For Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. An entirely new Call of Duty for the next generation. Call of Duty.
One of the fascinating new additions to your squad is a dog. This is someone you care about. Call of Duty.
What does that little montage tell you? Well, for one, it's funny. Xbox is the next water cooler. Xbox go home. That's funny. But what it also betrays, I think, is one of the biggest pitfalls for big companies, which is sort of leadership by spreadsheet, where they get so caught up in the data that they lose sight of the forest for the trees. You know, they look at, this many millions of players play Call of Duty, and this many millions of players say they watch videos on their Xbox as is, and this many millions of people say they're dissatisfied with the technology in their cable box. Let's combine these things, and when you look at it like that, you can kind of see how they would arrive there. But if you're a gamer and you want to buy an Xbox to play games, it's an active turnoff. Like, immediately hearing that the whole focus of the Xbox One is a TV box, like, what are we doing? And as a result, Sony saw their opportunity. So what did they do? Well, they launched a very simple marketing campaign spearheaded by a 20-second video. You guys know, OGs know this video. It's hard not to. It has 20 million views. Posted June 10th of 2013. Official PlayStation used game instructional video.
This is how you share your games on PS4. Thanks.
That is the whole thing. And it went viral because Xbox didn't have that. Xbox was trying to lock it all down. So you couldn't. Because again, some executive was like, so how many, somebody goes and buys a secondhand copy of Call of Duty, and we don't make any money on that. So let's make it so you can't do that at all. No used copies anymore. An executive would think that because they're dumb and they are in their bubble and they don't talk to people. Like, they have no idea what they're doing a lot of the time. Shockingly frequently. And then PlayStation saw the opportunity and they're just like, there you go. And this is part of the reason, I think it's important to remember the PS4 era was interesting because a lot of the time in console generations, it's defined by the start. And, a lot of consoles, if the Xbox kind of starts like this, an initial wave of sales, and it kind of, maybe it tapers off even more than that as the generation goes on, you're less likely to buy it because the new one's coming. But initially there's a huge, spike up. And then PlayStation might come around and they might have a similar route. But if they have better exclusives, maybe that starts to allow them to break away from Xbox later. But what happened with the PS4 era was Xbox's start was so harmed by that they just never really got off the ground. And PlayStation, meanwhile, They totally dominated the launch period. And then they had better exclusives by a significant margin. So if you were getting into the console space in like 2014, 15, 16, you're probably going to go with PlayStation because they had exclusives. You could play everything you were playing on Xbox, but you could also play a bunch of other stuff on PlayStation. So they just dominated the entire generation. And in large part, that was because of how they started the generation so strong, which they absolutely did. This is also funny. This is a clip taken from Eurogamer from June 10th, 2013. I believe it was the same day that they did that exact same console sharing thing. But just look at this. This was them explaining that, okay? And listen to the crowd and everything. This is at E3 while it was still a thing. Rip.
Creating an amazing library of new titles on PlayStation 4. We're equally focused on delivering what gamers want most, without imposing restrictions or devaluing their PS4 purchases. For instance, PlayStation 4 won't impose any new restrictions on the use of PS4 gamers.
It just keeps going. Again, just imagine if this summer at Summer Games Fest, like Phil Spencer comes on stage and says, Xbox will support used games. The crowd would be silent because everybody would be like, no duh. Like, it better. What do you mean? But at this point, it was all, oh, the future is digital. The future is unified. We're not doing that. Like, there would be no response if that happened today because everybody kind of realized that's a terrible idea. And but because PlayStation saw the opportunity to take this other position and just totally dominate Xbox in that way, they completely won E3 2013 and made Xbox look super out of touch and terrible in comparison.
Guess that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
We believe in the model that people embrace today with PlayStation 3 and continue to demand. Just heard you there. When a gamer buys a PS4 disc, they have the rights to use that copy of the game. They can trade in the game at retail, sell it to another person, lend it to a friend, or keep it forever.
Whistling, cheering. What should be a non-issue. Everybody should be on the same page with this, whether you're an Xbox gamer, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever. Everybody should be on the same page that, yeah, when you buy a product, it's yours. And if you want to sell it later, you can do that. Like, digital copies are messy, of course, but if you're buying a physical disc, to not be allowed to sell that physical disc to somebody else is kind of insane. Like, that's a little insane. But wait for it.
In addition, PlayStation 4 disc-based games don't need to be connected online to play.
This one we've slipped back on a little bit. A lot of games may not require online connections to play, but they require online connections to install. That's how they get you. So this one we've kind of slipped back on a little, but they get out on technicalities a lot. They're like, well, once it's installed and updated and patched, then you can play it offline for up to 30 days, until it needs to recertify the, whatever they call it, certificates or licenses or whatever. Then you're fine. So now they get out on like loopholes and stuff, but still.
Or for any type of authentication. If you enjoy playing single-player games offline, PS4 won't require you to check in online.
Warpgal donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate you a ton. Imagine if Rockstar brought the GTA 6 trailer too, and at the end they listed the price at $70 USD. Nintendo would look so foolish.
I think so. I still don't think that would necessarily affect sports games and like Call of Duties and stuff from being priced at 80. I think it would prevent like single player games from ever being priced at 80, because inevitably people will just be like, well, GTA 6 was 70. Why is Assassin's Creed Hexe 80? You know, immediately that becomes, I think that would adjust expectations in the bar for single player games. But I still think for like multiplayer stuff, you'd see $80 put out all the time. I would love to see them do that, to just stick to standard, what is now, or I guess previously as of a few weeks ago, standard AAA pricing. But I would be shocked if they don't push it, you know.
Periodically. And it won't stop working if you haven't authenticated within 24 hours.
Now I think it's 30 days. I might be wrong. Something like that. But you can see the moment that Sony won E3 2013, saying things that nowadays we would all just assume are givens for the most part. But they saw the opportunity. They came in and they offered the pro consumer option and made Xbox look really out of touch. And what's funny is that Don Matrick, that guy, he was gone.
Quack a Mole donated $10 through Super Chat. Love the streams, Luke. I know everyone likes to panic and cry, gaming crash. But do you think something like this could start a gaming market correction if other companies start following Nintendo?
In a way, I think the gaming market correction has already started. I think there's way, way less third-party AAA games being greenlit. It used to be that you could have a AAA game from a Square Enix, from a like one of the Embracer Group studios, from Ubisoft, and if you put 100 million into it, it was going to be successful because it was big and massive and it had a lot of money behind it. But nowadays, I just don't think you can do that. I think big games like Forspoken flopping, for example, the Saints Row reboot, I think that scared a lot of these investors away. So the only stuff that's being greenlit are smaller projects in the AA space, or the big surefire ones like the Assassin's Creeds and those types. I think you'll eventually be able to walk up to that level. So you might see games like Space Marine 2 be successful initially, and then, you know, that releases to fanfare and sells well. Then they greenlight the AAA budgeted version of that game. But I think you'll see a lot more like feelers, a lot more like smaller, tighter scoped projects. And if those do well, then they greenlight the big one. But in a way, I think that correction is already happening. When we talk about like the crashes or the crash in the 80s, that was a very exceptional time, very early on in the gaming industry. And nowadays, I'm not so sure if the same type of crash is even possible, because spending is still in the realm of billions. I just think that you would see a sliver of the industry crash. And in this case, I think it already has, which is the like independent third-party AAA game. I think that those are going to be extremely rare moving forward. And you won't really see the effects of it until like 2-3 years from now, because there's always like a 4 or 5 year delay. But I mean, I know for a fact that there's been big AAA games that have been canceled because they were like, it's not worth the risk. Let's just get out while we can, basically. But yeah, I think you'll just see a lot more AA games. You'll see doubling down of big AAA stuff in IP and genres people are confident in. So you'll see 15 Assassin's Creed games, but you won't see a lot of like Immortals Phoenix Rising type games. I don't think you'll see those. The Hollywood problem, yeah, kind of, where people just start doubling down on sequels, on the IP that they're confident in, because every time you release a new IP, unless you got in at a lower price, it's a huge risk. It could pay off big, because you could kickstart a new IP, but it's a huge risk for third-party devs. First party, it's fine. Like Intergalactic will be fine, for example.
Gator Natter donated €11.99 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Thank you for your content, Luke. Could you show us in paint what the game prices and, for example, tickets should be when adjusted to inflation from 10 or 20 years ago?
What the game prices, for example, tickets should be, I think you just mean game prices. Yeah, so when you adjust for inflation, the pricing that things are currently at is about in line. And then I will catch up on all the other super chats, everybody. We're just it reads out $10 ones, so those get priority, but I will catch up on all the others. So like if we look at say 2000, I don't know, we could even go, when did like Red Dead, I think that was 2010 for like 60. So like if we say 2010 $60 versus February of 25, a game bought at $60 back then had the same buying power. It felt the same, at least in theory, as spending $88. I guess I can zoom in so you can actually see, as spending $88 today. And this is the argument that these companies are using to get to that price point, because they're like, adjusted for inflation, this is what it should price at. Adjusted for inflation, you know, this is actually a really good deal. Really good. I mean, we're only charging 80. That's great. Like, when did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe whatever come out? Like I think it was a Wii U game, maybe 2014 or something. I don't know. 2012, I have no idea. But either way, like, you can see how they got to the $80 price point. You can kind of see how they got there. What's not accounted for in this, though, is the fact that the games industry is bigger, a lot bigger than it was 10 years ago. So they're selling many millions more copies of these games than they did before. And they're also filling it with other things that are making up for this. So yeah, they might not be getting $80 effectively per copy, but they're selling you the game and then selling you DLC packs. They're selling you additional controllers that they've marked up. They're selling you the online membership that they have included. A lot of these other like live service games are selling you skins and cosmetics and battle passes every single, quarter. And so for them to be like, yeah, we're just not getting as much money as we used to, it's not really true. It just isn't. Like, yes, if we look at just the initial sticker price, sure, yeah, it's lower in terms of purchasing power. But I think it's a little disingenuous. And at times, for some, I think they're being dishonest, straight up dishonest, when they do not factor in those elements. Like, yes, it's true that Call of Duty 3 or whatever was way cheaper in comparison to modern prices, or way, you get what I mean? Like, it was priced differently than modern games are, and technically right now you're getting a discount on it if you account for inflation and the actual purchasing power of your dollar. But modern COD games are monetized out the ever-living ass, and they're actually walking away with way, 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 way more money. Like, not even close. So, yeah, I think it's just like, it's kind of disingenuous to only look at this as if it's in a vacuum, because you have to look at the broader context of the entire industry. For just single player games, this absolutely has an effect if you're not monetizing other ways, if you're not doing DLC. Baldur's Gate 3 being priced at $60, that's a hell of a deal. And they're not doing DLC or expansions or anything. That's a hell of a deal. Absolutely, that's fair to bring up. But to like compare Call of Duty or Mario Kart or some of these.
Tiger Birch donated $5. Hi Luke, what's your opinion on the open world design of AC Shadows? I feel like the PWA are all designed to be like a E3 demo to show of gameplay mechanics. The paths in between are only to get to the PWA, and the forests are good looking but
the PWA. Thank you for that. It's gonna read this one too, and then I'll respond to that one and circle back to this.
Jonah Bell donated $10 through Super Chat. The prices of these games are appropriate given inflation rates, but I think the reason this hurts and people are angry is because wages overall haven't adjusted as well, at least for my region.
Absolutely. I think that is a huge component of it. And I also think, I also think that, like, ultimately the saying is the customer is always right. I don't think that that's, like, we joke about how, well, no, technically the customer can be wrong. In this situation, it's like I've said a bajillion times, perception is the reality that you have to deal with. Perception, in many ways, is reality, effectively, in terms of what you have to interact with and deal with. And if consumers' perception is that your game is too expensive, whether you pull up the CPI index and compare inflation rates or not, if that's what people feel, that's the reality you're dealing with. Even if you're like, well, actually, adjusted for inflation, it's actually cheaper than it should be if we compare it to the prices as they were 22 years ago. Okay, still feels too expensive for what it is. It could be fully adjusted for inflation. It would still feel too expensive. If for some of these games that they're charging this much for, it's like, cool, still feels too expensive. Like some of these games that they're charging $70 for feels too expensive for what it is. $60, it's like, this isn't worth 60. It's more like a $40 game. And I feel like that nuance is also just totally lost. It's assuming that the value of the product has remained the same and also that the standards have not risen. As technology has progressed, people's expectations have risen, people's demands have changed, as I think they should. And as a result, like the game you used to be able to get away charging full price for, nowadays you might not be able to charge full price for that. People expect more because there's more competition, there's bigger games, bigger projects and stuff. So there's that. And yeah, I saw you guys mention it's supposed to be for 10. It reads out. Yeah, I'm not sure why the tips are reading out at that level, but either way, as for the answer for the AC Shadows thing, in my review I go through a lot. I think it's just way more slow, way more methodical. I think that's what they were going for. It can absolutely be more repetitive, which I think is an age-old problem for AC games, but I personally liked that it was not just overflowing with random crap like Valhalla was. So I like this direction. I don't think they've quite landed on where I would like it, but I do think it's a step in the right direction. Let's see. Yeah, beyond technological advancements, Red Dead Redemption 2 at $60 in 2018 versus Red Dead Redemption 1 at $60 in 2010 feels like a bargain. Yeah, and it's because the technology has advanced. Like in 2010, Red Dead 1 was worth the AAA price. It just was. Like it was a phenomenal value. You compare it to Red Dead 2 and you're like, oh my God, like we've come a long way, because we have. And I think that's worth acknowledging. But yeah, there is to a certain extent, like, I think people often are looking for ways to justify the purchase they've already decided they're going to make. A lot of these people that are defending like Nintendo's pricing, they've decided they're going to buy a Switch 2 and they're just trying to find a way to justify it. And listen, I love spending money. It fills me with joy. It just does. I'm a YouTuber. Spending frivolously is a joy of mine. You see that back there? This, I'll show you. It's like a super, somebody said I was wearing jorts. I'm not. They're actual shorts. But like, you see this? It's like a luxury chess set. It's very pretty. I love it. Did I need like a finely carved mahogany chessboard? No, but I got it because I love chess and I love it dearly, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Where was I going with it? Oh, I love spending money. I love spending money, okay? And even I cannot get myself to the point where I'm like, yeah, Switch 2 makes sense. I want to support that. Because it's not just looking at a vacuum. It's not just for this little device here. It's what it means for the rest of the industry. And that's where I think everybody needs to kind of come together in this moment and just not buy the damn thing. I really think that will help the industry in the long run. Because if everybody comes together and it's like, yeah, we're not paying $80 for that. You could see a correction. Imagine the press release. Nintendo updates pricing of Mario Kart 8 after player feedback. We're going to drop the price to $70. We hear you. We get it. That would be phenomenal for the industry. That might actually scare Rockstar. They still probably price GTA 6 at $80, but that might actually give them a second thought. But only if people like actually vote with their wallet. But what you see a lot on social media is like a lot of hesitance with it.
AWWS Tree and GMR donated $11.05.
Thank you, my friend.
Love your content. I agree that their argumentation is pretty much BS. Even though they have better arguments, at least for the games, like new game share, loan functions, maybe still.
It cut it off. Let me see if I can pull it up. I can't get Streamlabs to let me log in. It just spins and spins. See what I mean? Like it just spins and spins and spins. I will. I'm trying to log in because then I can see it. If you're in chat, maybe I don't know what's wrong with Streamlabs, why it's not loading, because now I can't see those. I can't see those messages. Yeah, I think that there's other stuff they're doing that maybe can justify the price individually. I just think that whittling it down to just that is reductive, because I think what people are primarily frustrated with is the entire package. It's not just Nintendo Online. It's not just the price of the console. It's not just the price of the tutorial that they have for the console. It's everything combined, where it's just clear that they're pushing the boundary every way they can because they think they can get away with it because the Switch 1 was so freakishly successful. And that's why they're just pushing it. Let me see. I got to catch up on these real quick. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Ostrimer. Thank you. Message from before. I agree that their argumentation is pretty much BS, even though they have some of the better arguments like new game share, game loan functions, maybe still weak arguments, lever content. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, I think that there's a couple little tidbits, like the game share thing they introduced sounds really good. People in chat were telling me that it's also paired with a removal of the previous library sharing program. So you're able to share a game with someone. I believe it requires a local internet connection. So you have to be like in the same house or apartment or whatever. And then you can share the copy of the game with them for like 2 weeks. But there's no more like library sharing. So you can't have one account signed into 2 consoles and share your library with them, which is what it is on like PlayStation, Xbox, even Steam, I think does that. And as a result, like it sounds good, but it's actually like a couple steps back. You know, people will buy it if they have the money. I think it's as simple as that. Well, I don't think it should be as simple as that. Granted, I think some people will just behave that way. Which is why you've seen some people try to frame it as, oh, so you're broke. My point in bringing up my impulsive purchasing habits, besides being a cry for help, is also that I want to be clear, like, for me, I can get the Switch too. Like, it's not a matter of money. I don't want to buy it because I don't want to set that standard. Maybe if it's on sale for 50% off, or you get it like if somebody told me that they were going to buy the Switch 2 and they just weren't going to buy $80 games ever. Okay. Like I can see that. If you're a big Nintendo fan, like, okay, I can respect that. I think if you engage with the $80 price point, though, that causes problems. Yeah, he wants to flex on us. We'll get up here. What was that clip we watched from XQC where like he's showing off a Richard Mille watch? That's a $500,000 watch, $250,000, I guess, to $500,000. There's a range. Yeah, I've always found that type of thing cringy. I will say, I mean, I do think it's funny. Some streamers flex their sports cars, their watches, whatever. I flex a chessboard I bought. It's like, yep. That's me. That's me. Oh, yeah. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, okay. Cap. Let me catch up on these. Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs for all trading partners except for China. Let's go. Is that from there was a guy named like John Bloomberg who tweeted that yesterday, and he's an anonymous Twitter account, and it caused the markets to spike up but it was totally fake. Like, it was totally fake. What's funny is that caused the stock market, that one tweet caused the stock market to jump $2.5 trillion. And it was a single fake tweet. And after it was revealed to be fake, like, they asked the administration and, you know, it dropped back down to where it was. But isn't it a little terrifying that one dude sitting on a toilet on his lunch break could tweet something if he has enough followers and literally move the global stock market by trillions of dollars? It's crazy. If it's from like official news sources, then cool. But let me see. Oh, this is not an anonymous Twitter account, though. This one seems real. President Trump announces a 90-day pause on tariffs for dozens of countries except China, sending the Dow surging. So you mean I can finally look at my portfolio and I won't cry? Oh, dude, that's hilarious. Dude, I've gone up 22% on my portfolio in the last like 5 minutes. Like, that's what this does. Like, this announcement immediately to the moon. That's hilarious. Well, there you go. And this one's real. So there you go. Buy the dip. I mean, hopefully this means the dip is ending. I will say I bought a lot in the dip, but it just kept dipping. And so I was getting a little worried now. Because, you know, it's the danger with buying or trying to time a market and buy on the dip. Because you're like, okay, the stock market, it's having a rough day. Okay, ooh, I'm going to buy the dip. So you put in a bunch of cash right there. And like, when it goes up, I'm going to make tons of money. And then this was like Wednesday. Okay, well, it's got to be close to the bottom, so I'm going to buy in. And then it just kept going down. And you're like, oh God. So Friday hits. And we're like, okay, Friday morning, I bet there's going to be good news today before the weekend. I'm going to buy in right here. I'm going to put even more money in. And then it just goes off a cliff. And it's trailing all through the weekend. Monday did okay. It was like a little better. But this is the danger with trying to buy the dip, is you never know when the dip actually hits. At least if you do it this way and you're like putting money in at various times, your cost basis averages out to like buying in right here. This is basically what the average is. So then you're fine. You know, then you can work with this. You'll still get a ton of upside if the market recovers all the way back up. But yeah, it's difficulty with trying to buy the dip. Catching a falling knife. Yeah, literally. I mean, that's what you're doing. And a lot of people get screwed. Because what some people do, and this is literally not financial advice, never do this. People will lose money on a bad day. They will then see, oh, maybe I can like leverage my way to success if I use like a leveraged bet on the market. So they'll trade something like TQQQ, or what's the inverse one? Is it SQQQ? Yeah. So they'll trade something like this, which is triple weighted. So if you buy like this thing at $1 and the market goes up $1, you lose 3. But if it goes down $1, you gain 3, right? So people will try to buy into leveraged things like this that trade options and futures contracts and stuff. And they'll try to be like, oh, well, the market's going to keep plummeting, so I'm going to buy something like this, which you see over the last 5 days, if you bought in at 42, you were making good money because the market was dropping so much. But it just takes one really bad day for you to lose 3x and get totally screwed. So you got to be cautious. And so you'll see people lose money on the way down. They panic, try to leverage themselves into bets that the market will keep going down. It goes up and they just lose even more and they just get totally screwed. Totally screwed. Which is it's a little funny. Okay, let me catch up on this real quick. Have you seen the Helldivers 2 game, board game? I have not, actually. I may have seen a post about it, but I haven't like looked at the game. Luke, how do you know this stuff? Did you study it or something? No. TikToks. It's just TikToks. Let's see. Thoughts on Tainted Grail? There's a demo out now. Yeah, we've looked at it a few times. I haven't put any time into it. I am working through a different game that shall remain nameless at the moment, but yeah, maybe I'll get around to it. Jono Arc, thank you for that super chat. Caleb, thank you for the 5. Nintendo having a Don Matrick moment. Just buy the old one, literally, dude. Thank you, Steel Bones, again for the 20. Very generous. Real Serious, thank you for that super chat. For people comparing or complaining about capitalism, there is another side to this. There's a likelihood other console companies, or even Steam or Epic, see a scenario where they could keep prices the same. It's why competition is good. Yeah, it's why competition is good, and it's why Nintendo historically has been seen as sort of an exception, because they're in their own bubble. Like, it feels like Xbox and PlayStation are rivals, right? They compete against each other. Xbox does something stupid in 2013, PlayStation counters it, and they keep the industry healthy by offering that competition back and forth. Steam largely has not had competition on the PC space. They've had things like GOG, they've had things like Ubisoft's launcher, they've had things like Epic Games. So there have been other places to buy and play PC games, but nothing on the level of Steam. And it's very much an exception to the rule, because it seems like that is a company run by Gabe, who he's got FU money now. He's happy. He doesn't need any more money, and he's not interested in like the corporate buyouts or anything else. I swear, if the day ever comes where Valve is like sold to some hedge fund or something, we'll be totally screwed. PC gaming will actually be like cooked in that moment, but hopefully that never happens. Knock on wood. Because it's very good for the industry as it is. But we'll see. Yeah, that's Lord Gaben to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he truly is. Our patron saint. We need a candle for him. I don't think I have a Gabe candle. Yeah, I'll have to get one. Let's see. MMO RPGL, thank you again for that 10. That was very generous. Quackamole, thank you for that 10 again. For that super chat about the gaming crash. Gator Nader, thank you for that 12 euro super chat about inflation rates. Jonah, thank you for that 10 again. Let's see. Yeah, about wages not being adjusted. Absolutely agree. Proto, thank you for the 27 months of membership. Booyah. Don't you think the tariffs would hike up the price so much more than the inflation did? $80 would be a dream. Too much winning, baby. 27 months. Ooh, baby, indeed. As for the tariffs, yeah, I mean, without a doubt, the tariffs, they are just like a flat 30, 40, 50, whatever percent basically increase on the price. Just if you want to maintain your margins, you got to just add that to the sticker price, basically. So without a doubt, that has a more direct and immediate impact, I think. So that's definitely an aspect of this. Trump lowering tariffs already. Yeah, no, we just pulled that article up because yesterday a guy, an anonymous Twitter account, said that, and it caused the market to freak out a little bit too. But this one's official, so this one's real. 104% tax on Chinese goods, which are basically everything. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because America is a consumer economy. We buy stuff, and that's, funnily enough, that's like our contribution to the world, is that we buy stuff. And, we make some things like, Hollywood's here, and we do some stuff like big tech companies are based here. But for the most part, we are a consumer economy, and China is very much an export economy. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, because we won't be able to buy the stuff that we used to get for really cheap, but then also like China won't be able to export it because nobody's going to be buying it. So it's going to be very interesting. I really don't know how it plays out. And I think anybody who tells you they know how it's playing out is lying to you. This is totally uncharted territory. I think everybody's just like, well, I guess we'll see. We're all just kind of floating through life, Who knows? It's all very confusing. Thank you also, Austrian. It's Austrian Gamer. That's what it is. I was like Austrian Gamer. Austrian Gamer. Thank you for that sub.
Jeremiah Rodriguez donated $20 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, another aspect of the Switch 2 controversy that I don't see talked about a lot is how during the Switch the 1st of January 2017 presentation, Nintendo was transparent with the price and what came in the Switch one.
Yeah, I do think it's really, really telling that Nintendo did not reveal pricing or anything like that during their presentation. And some people have said, oh, I think it's because of the tariffs. I think it's because of this or that. Really, I think a lot of it is just that maybe that had an effect on it. But if I had to put money on it, I think it's because they knew that the reception would be probably kind of negative towards the $450 price and the $80 price point in games. And they just decided we're not going to reveal that during our video presentation when everybody's watching. We're going to get people excited and then drop the bad news right after. But indirectly, so maybe some people don't hear about it and don't freak out. And it sort of worked for like an hour until everybody heard about it. And then we felt lied to because they basically lied to us. Not lied to. They withheld the truth from us. And I think they did that because they very much did not want to upset people in that way. Because I think they knew. Let's see. Oh yeah, also I feel like I should shout this out real quick. Our third channel, yes, we have a third channel. Trevor has been working his butt off on it, and it's just Luke Stevens clips. It's for clips from the streams and stuff that are shorter than what would typically land on Luke Stevens Live. It's just smaller, like bite-sized stuff. And it's already hit 10,000 subs. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for that. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's all these like little smaller things that wouldn't fit on the live channel typically. Apparently I said, yeah, Rise of the Ronin PC port looks like hot baby garbage. Sometimes I look back at these, I'm like, oh, wow. It's a blur for me. So shout out to Trevor for working his butt off and getting those videos out and building that channel up. What a goat. What a goat. He's the GOAT. Yeah. Let's see. Smart. Love me some quick vids for the Lou. Well, exactly. Well, and it's also just, I was trying to explain to somebody at the Bungie event because they were like, why do you split up all of that? People will ask also in chat. They're like, why don't you stream on your main channel? It has more subs. It's because the audiences are different. And the algorithm also views content, like format matters. If you have a channel that's putting out 3-hour videos, the audience that likes 3-hour videos will flock to it and it'll do well. But if you then splice in like 2-minute, 4-minute videos, the algorithm doesn't really know how to handle it because it kind of packages all the videos into one format and then shares those with people who like the format and hopefully also the topic and the host and everything else. But when in doubt with modern YouTube, it helps to just have a different channel for the different format. And it seems to work well. So, don't broke it if it ain't fixed, or don't fix it if it ain't broken. It's like, don't break it if it don't fix. It works for Moist Critical. Yeah, Moist though, I think it's tough to compare anybody or anything to Moist because he is on such a different level, like he can post a stream clip and it'll do 6 million views or something like that. He's on a totally different level that probably all of us hope to be at one day, but like comparing yourself to that is going to be, it's going to be tough. I really struggle with not telling little white lies. Well, Jesus did it. It's like, okay, but like, you're comparing me to the GOAT, of this thing we're talking about. It's kind of tough. Yeah. I may like Doritos. I'm no Dorito Pope though. Yeah, Titanfall 3 rumor chaos. Yeah, dude, some people are saying that it's basically done and they're ready to show it. Then other people are saying that's all fake. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. No clue. It's fake. Is it officially fake? Yeah, it's why we didn't talk about it yet, because I was like, if there's ever rumors that people are immediately walking back and then other people are saying they're lies, I'm like, there's too much debate. Because typically if like all of these people who have put out rumors before and had a pretty good reputation, if they're all agreeing on X, you can be pretty confident in that. But if you start to see disagreements, like, and clear disagreements, this is false, no, this is totally true, no, this is totally false, that's when you should give pause, you know. Take a moment. Just take a seat. Take a moment right over there. Right over there. There was one other thing I wanted to look at. Where... Okay. I guess we can look at that. Maybe we look at this too. Okay. Close out. We talked about that. I did want to touch on the craziness that was the marathon stuff. I don't even know what to call it. It's ARG, I guess is what it is. I do want to look at that. I feel like there's going to be some good stuff. I haven't seen this video yet. Let's see. Ooh, I gotta be cautious though. So basically there's these ARG things that they did where they did all these coded messages and stuff, and then the community solved it. I've only seen little snippets of it. I haven't put it together. I don't know how all of it works. This video by Jake the Alright breaks it down. But it's a smaller channel, and I like, it just came out 2 days ago. He just posted the second part going through it like 4 minutes ago, actually. And I really don't want to step on his toes or affect the performance of his video by watching it. I don't know. Maybe we talk about some of this other stuff first, and then we'll see. You know, the video is really good. Is there normally 1,500 people watching you? Recently, yeah, that's our new standard. We also have like 125, 150 on Twitch, and then we'll have another 100 or 200 on X watching. So all told, you know, we can pretty regularly get up to like 1,800 to 2,000, which is kind of nice considering I'm not really doing that much that's interesting. I'm just kind of rambling, but hey, what are you gonna do? I'm not complaining. Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Watch the first half and then get chat invested, tell them to go watch the rest. Yeah, that could work. And thank you for the 20. That's
Caleb donated $20 through Super Chat. Watch the first half, get chat invested, and then tell them to go watch the rest.
That could work, especially because it seems like this is a bunch of the little bitty things that they've tied together. So we could totally do that. Jacob, we'll just make sure when we do the stream clip to link the video. We do it regularly, but just maybe make sure to like even do a pinned comment as well, just so people really get the chance to go watch it. But yeah, I'm very interested in this. So news segment. So in case you've been under a rock, Marathon, it's getting a gameplay reveal on the 12th, which I believe is Saturday. And they've been building up hype and anticipation with the community. They've been doing all sorts of coded messages, tweets and stuff that are just very, very mysterious. Very mysterious. Which is, of course, always fun. You can see, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff that they were posting. This was apparently a collection of a bunch of these little squares that were released independently, and then the community came together and like stitched them together to get a picture of this playable character and stuff. So the community's been wild solving these things. Yeah, like I wouldn't even know where to begin. This is something they posted. And like, I have no idea where to even start, but the community has been working on it and has solved a lot of it. And Jake the All Right did a little video breaking down how some of this stuff was solved, how it worked. We're not going to watch the whole thing because I don't want to step on his video's toes or anything, but I do recommend that you guys head over there and check out the video. I will also be sharing the link in all of the chats and everything, so everybody has a chance to get over there and support it. But I just want to give you like a little snippet, a taste of how this worked, because it's crazy.
Kane donated $10 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, first time Super Chatting, long time fan. Any plans on reviewing Claire Obscure Expedition 33?
First of all, thank you, Kane, for the 10. As for that question specifically, I would very much like the opportunity to review that. That would be nice. I think that's all. That's all I can say, I believe. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Yeah, I'm muted. Hold on. I'm a professional streamer here. Professional streamer. Oh, and Jack Smith, thank you. Oh, it's a staple now. Jack comes in, the $10 super chat with poop.
Jack Smith donated $9.99 through Super Chat. Poop.
Indeed, my friend.
That's most definitely what's up.
It is indeed. But now we have the video pulled up. I have the audio turned on. You know what time it is?
Time to play the game.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, the new Marathon ARG is here, and I'm sure you're aware of it, and I'm also sure that you are overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information that we are getting. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of messages, tens of thousands of hours of video and live streams looking at it. There's a lot to get through, but I say we just take a step back and calmly go through what we have so far and understand that even as I'm saying these words to you guys, it'll be a little bit out of date. Some new stuff will have popped up, and by the time you're hearing
constantly,
there'll be even more new stuff. But we will get to that as well, all in good time. Let's just take a calm little stroll through what has occurred so far in the new Marathon ARG. And let's start with Rilo. Awesome YouTube creator Rilo shared a photo on X of a framed piece of what appears to be concept art that he got from Bungie. It's signed by Joe Ziegler and Joseph Cross. It features 3...
Oh. Almost forgot.
Runners, the two in the back.
Hold on. Ooh. Like, I think it's a shirt, maybe a ball. And escape will make me God, it says. There's that. Yeah, let's see. There's gonna be push. Okay. And then this poor guy who has been vacuum sealed. Hold on. Okay, what's this? It's one of the little like silkworm dudes. How cute is that? So yes. And then this is like a This is like a steel card that just says escape with me. And then there's a code on the back of it. Huh. I don't know. I can't get the sticky part off yet, but there's like a series of symbols. Focus, damn you. Move it in front of my face. You see that? There's like symbols on it. I don't know what that means. But there you go. So very nice of them. They sent this stuff out. That was cool. That was cool. They're also sending, my understanding is that piece of concept art. Yes, this is something they told us that would be arriving, which is kind of cool. Just a little piece of concept art signed, which is a nice touch.
That he got from Bungie. It's signed by Joe Ziegler and Joseph Cross. It features 3 runners, the 2 in the back being Thief and Stealth, who we saw from the concept art back in October when Joe Ziegler did the developer update. And this new front runner, I guess maybe that's a little bit of a pun there, is a new runner that we have not seen before, featuring a very sick helmet as he peers over his shoulder. Shortly after Rilo would make this post, the official Marathon X account would post a video that seems to have these like kind of abstract blocky shapes with a dithering effect in the background, and it also featured some symbols that might be familiar if you saw the Destiny 2 Marathon themed emblem that was leaked a few weeks ago. At the same time they posted this, the YouTube X, Twitch, Facebook, and even the PlayStation X account would change their cover or banner photos to have a similar kind of style to this video, with these big blocks of green, the black background, the emblems, and the dithering effect.
Mysterious.
These images all featured the same series of characters inside brackets somewhere in the image, something that we'd have to come back to later to decrypt. Mida's X account would become active as well with the username we_r_Mida, and they would post a bunch of cute little Mida sayings and poetry alongside images that when combined would make a Mida symbol. And we would...
Real quick, explain it to me like I'm 4. What is Mida? What even is that? What is Mida? Malaysian Investment and Development Authority? I don't think that's right. A website, an Israeli current affairs and online magazine. I don't know what that is. What is Mida? Money? I don't know. Whatever that is. It's some sort of code.
We would also learn around this time that Mida has an official YouTube account as well. All of this new noise that Bungie was making online prompted people to go back and check the faction websites from the ARG back in 2023. And oh boy, we found something. They were all back live again. We'll start with Mida's website, hereoursilence.com. Now, instead of featuring a new zine, it was just a white screen that featured a link.
Dude, that's sketchy as hell.
When we went to this new link, we were...
This feels like a website that like a serial killer would have. You know, where they post their manifesto or something. You load into it and it's just that. That's horrifying.
We were prompted to sign into Twitch, and it featured a Twitch overlay that was slowly revealing symbols. At the bottom was a counter on the left side, and then a bar that said weak, medium, high. This was a Twitch overlay that Twitch streamers would have to sign into, and then dependent upon how many viewers were watching them while they were utilizing this Twitch overlay, the symbols on the page would decode faster, which would hopefully allow us to gather some new information.
Dude, that's low-key brilliant though. Like, it's a Twitch overlay that reads how many viewers you have, and based on the number of viewers you have, it will decrypt. So the more eyes in front of it, the faster it decrypts. So it encourages more people to stream it. That's cool. That's pretty freaking cool. Ravi says Mida was a revolutionary government that came to power on Mars in an assumed alternate timeline, and the creator of the weapons Mida multi-tool and Mida mini-tool. Oh, okay. In the universe of Marathon. Okay. I thought they were saying that Mida was like you know, Morse code or like a different type of coding system, like a Caesar cipher or something. I thought they were saying it was a type of code, but no, it's like specifically messaging from this fictitious group. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Ravi.
While these symbols were being decoded, people went back to the original Mida page, and they found this kind of creepy face in the background of the page itself.
To me, it seems more spoopy, but I'll allow creepy.
And also they saw that the tab section of the website was scrolling a very long Mida poem. Within that poem, there was a section that read RAGE, or R plus A plus G plus E. people took this information over to the UESC website, which was back in full force. Now, if you reloaded the page on the UESC website, and while the page was loading, you held down the R, A, G, and E keys, you would enter into a new terminal.
Dude, how do you even figure that out? Maybe it's like the F12 thing, you pull it up, you can see the code, and then you figure out, oh, it's waiting for inputs. Maybe we hold down the letters that we saw. Maybe that's how they did it. Or it says like, oh, if it actually popped up and it was like, enter the commands into the terminal. Okay, maybe. Either way, that's very cool. That's very cool.
This terminal would feature a ton of directories with information on weapons, names of characters, and even more cool little goodies hidden.
Dude, it's artwork of like the guns, Bully SMG, and then they made it in this format. That's so cool. Dude, isn't this like so refreshing when you compare it to like how they unveiled Concord, for example, where they show like this really expensive cinematic trailer that has nothing to do with the game, and then they do a little gameplay trailer and they're like, money please. Like, this is crazy. I'm eating this up. I love it because it also shows that the devs are like excited and passionate about it. They put a lot of effort into this. Like, it's one of those things. If they didn't do this, nobody would know what they were missing, and it would just be like, oh, well, let's see what the game looks like. But instead, they're doing this thing to like build the community up before the game's even seen like a gameplay reveal. It's really, really cool.
And inside, it also featured an area where we could decrypt the symbols, but we would need a key.
They're doing this instead of working on the game. Dude, that would actually be fun if that's what was happening. Yeah, I'm guessing, I don't know who's doing this, like if this is an outside team they hired, or if this is like their marketing team. I have no idea, but whoever's doing this, it's impressive.
To do so. Eventually, the MITA Twitch overlay would be decoded, and all of the symbols would be revealed. And then the official Marathon account would post a security alert. An unauthorized transmission manipulation was detected, and the UESC had taken down the Twitch overlay. But that was not where things ended, as we uncovered a secret hidden directory inside the root of the Rage terminal on the UESC website called Farsight 7. Inside of the Farsight 7 directory, there was a file called sound.bin, and when you executed it, it revealed a super cool screen where as you moved your mouse around, it would reveal new images and sounds. These were clips from the original trailer and cryptic messages and songs and all sorts of very cool stuff. And while the
dude, this is insane. Like, this is crazy. Where do you even start on something like this? You go to your boss, hey, I have an idea for something we can do before we reveal the game. Okay, what is it? Hear me out. Psychosis. That's basically what this is. It's amazing.
This section is probably the most visually stimulating thing that we've gotten from the terminal so far. I do think that my favorite thing I've seen was the ASCII art of the weapons that are going to be in the game that were hidden inside of this terminal. Now, there are some more advancements in the UESC terminal, but for a moment, let's shift gears and go over to the Traxxas site, which is also back, and it featured that super cool spinning wheel of Traxxas stuff again. And also in the bottom left, we had new chat logs, but this time it doesn't seem to be between the board of directors. Rather, these seem to be Traxxas employees who are talking about a logistics disruption and a server outage tied to some sort of cyber acme issue all in the same day. The shipment that was disrupted is said to be Sekiguchi Jin cargo, assumedly meaning Biomata, and the cyber security threat was a cyber acme system down issue where someone may have intruded Traxxas servers at the same time. The Traxxas website also featured 2 clickable items in the ring. One was listed as the CB-3463 drill, and the other was listed as TrackSat Management Console. When we click through to the CB-3463 drill, we would find a PDF, a user manual, an instruction manual for something called the Cave Crawler V2.
Dude, they made user manuals for fictional tools used for mining. Like, what? This is crazy. So, like I said, there's so much here. There's way more than you probably realize. And actually, funnily enough, Jake the All Right, just 4 minutes previously from when I clicked on this initially, 4 minutes before, posted the part 2 of this. So there's a lot. And I don't want to go through the whole thing. I think you should go over to his channel and watch it if you are interested. I'll put the links in chat now. But truly, like, the amount of effort and crazy stuff that they've done here is absolutely crazy. And again, I just think it's so cool to see this level of effort put into something. Whether the game is good or not is independent of this, to be very fair. A game can have crazy cool stuff like this and still suck. It's very possible. It can also be a masterpiece. You know, it can go either which way. But to at least see this level of effort is refreshing for me personally, because so many of these types of games just, I don't know, I think they phone it in, and they're like, the game was already so expensive. Let's just focus on the fundamentals. You know, let's just do that. And so to see this is cool. It's pretty damn cool, and gets you excited. It's really fun being in the community. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, and it's the sense of discovery, and you're looking at every little bitty detail, and you're trying to piece things together. I think that's awesome, and you can tell that, like, the devs are excited by it. I think the community generally is really excited by it, and that's what you want. I mean, when you're trying to launch a live service game in 2025, you can't afford any slip-ups, and you need to have really, I mean, in some ways it feels like you have to have a community built before it even starts. Like, before your game even is announced and revealed, you have to basically have the community built out so you have somewhere to start from. And the problem for a lot of games is, of course, they don't have the community yet because they haven't even gotten there. Like, that, it's too early. But with this, like, the one thing Bungie is really, really good at is building that community, retaining it and fostering it, and then also doing cool things like this to excite them and get them interested and make them sit up and pay attention to every little bitty cryptic thing that they're doing. So it's really cool. Bungie have so much pressure. Yeah, and I think that I think is part of the reason why it's good they're doing this, because they are not taking anything for granted, it seems. Bungie was bought for about $3.7 billion, and they were bought primarily on the promise of increased revenues through Destiny and this Marathon project, and then another spin-off project that has since been canceled. So it's pretty much all come down to Marathon, because Destiny 2 has not really made much money at all. It might have honestly just lost money at this point. It seems like they keep saying they missed revenue targets last year, or last fiscal year, I believe it was. They missed financial targets by 50%, meaning if they expected to make $100, they made 50. I mean, it significantly underperformed. So, you know, Sony's not thrilled about that. And it pretty much all lands at Marathon's feet. Like, Marathon needs to not just be good, but it needs to justify the $3.7 billion purchase of that company. It's a lot of pressure. Not many games are worth $3 billion. Like, all of Assassin's Creed as a franchise is probably worth about $3 billion. That's how big this has to be. So, you know, and even if it's not like just that big in a vacuum, it still needs to generate money. It needs to find success. So all eyes are on it. And, you know, I think so far it seems they are doing everything right. It seems like they're not taking this lightly. You know, they're putting a lot of effort in, and, you know, soon-ish I'll be able to talk about my thoughts having played it at the studio. And on Saturday the 12th they're doing the gameplay reveal, so we'll check it out there. But we'll be keeping an eye on it for sure. Keep an eye on it. Worst purchase Sony has ever made. I mean, the problem for them is just that I think Jim Ryan wrote a blank check because he was like, it's Bungie. And everybody's heard of Bungie. And I think that was why they just wrote the blank check. But I think it also was probably I think they overpaid. And I think the people that owned Bungie previously would agree that they overpaid, which I think is why they were so excited to get offered $3.7 billion. Because they're like, really? Oh, really? You know, it's like when you walk in, it's like, okay, I can provide this service for you. I can do this service. I can I can shovel the snow on your driveway. And in my head, I'm like, I'll do it for 10. And they're like, okay, how much do you charge for this? Well, what do you think is fair? The person who owns the driveway, $15,000. And you're like, sure. Yeah, that's about fair. That's, sure. Yeah, that sounds fair. I think that's basically what happened with Bungie's buyout. I think they were just pleasantly surprised to be offered such an insane price point. Okay. Where did I put that link? I lost it. Bummer. Okay. Let's see. We've got about 40 minutes before Jor comes on. So
like a lot of
calm down, Max. We've got a little bit of time. Let me see. All of Bethesda got sold for $7 billion. Bungie selling for half that is absurd. Well, to be fair, it was all of ZeniMax, not just Bethesda. So it was ZeniMax Media, so ZeniMax Online. It was Arcane, IdTech, all of those companies under the Bethesda Softworks banner. And then, of course, Bethesda Game Studios as well. But they did get a lot of IP for the $7.5 billion they paid. Still very expensive, but they got a lot for it at least. But that's why it's crazy to see Bungie acquired for like 3.7, because at the time that they bought it, Destiny 2 was not making money. So it's like, why would you pay for like what? When I worked in real estate, if we had an apartment building that wasn't turning a profit at that point, that could see like a 10, 20, in one case we saw like a 25 to 30% discount. So if the building was worth $1 million properly run, if it was not properly run, you'd get like 700,000 for it. And it pissed like some of those landlords off. They're like, well, I saw this one down the street sell for this many dollars per unit, so my building should be worth $1 million. And it's like, yeah, but you have 90% vacancies, and then the units that are not vacant are like filled with 15 people sharing one apartment, and they're just doing drugs and running a gang out of it. There was one building, I've told this story before, one building we sold in like, it's a city next to Greeley called Evans, and the building was filled with squatters, and it was squatters, the squatters were a group of like drug dealers that had different names. Like I forget what the name was. It was like Prince. He called himself like Prince Silver or something like that. But it was like drug dealers mixed with a pimp. And so I guess just a pimp. And they just had taken it over. And then there were like multiple attempted murders at that property and stuff. And I was like, shocker, this building is not going to sell that well. Prince Silver. Yeah, it was something like that. And then there was a competing pimp that called himself like King Gold. So this guy was like automatically underselling him. The police, the Greeley police, that we had to call like a sergeant to come and escort us when we would do tours of the building with potential buyers. I'd like call a sergeant from Greeley PD, and they would drive out and walk through the building with us in case one of those guys was there, because they were known to get violent. Yeah. Yeah. Some of those buildings, man. Whew. Anyway, Bungie. That's a whole other thing. Caesar says, I'm going to prison for drugs soon, awaiting trial. Is this in real life or is this in Schedule 1? I'm not sure. Free my boy. Insane Police should have cleared that place out long ago. The tough thing was that the guy that owned the building, it was interesting because like it was at the end of a cul-de-sac. Not really a cul-de-sac, like the road went down and then there was like this sort of rectangular, I know this kind of looks like a penis, it's not. And then this was like the building that I'm talking about. There was a big building here, and then there was like some satellite buildings that look kind of similar. And these were like 6-unit apartment buildings. This one, I think, had 12 units. It was just kind of double it, split in the middle. This one was owned by like an Indian guy who called himself a slumlord, but he ran a tight ship. Like he would rent out to like people fresh out of prison and stuff, but it was only ever people that did not have like sexual offenses or crimes against children and stuff. So he would rent out to some really, really sketchy people here. And then this was owned by like this older lady who lived in Mexico, but she owned the buildings. And so she was also kind of AFK broadly. But this was the building that was overrun by squatters. And this was the one I was selling. And the problem was, for the police to go there and clear it out, they had to have like permission from the landlord. But he lived and worked out of like Japan. And so he was like never paying that much attention to it. I think he said he had never seen the building himself in person. He bought it sight unseen and never saw it. Like he had never actually been here. So he didn't really care. But when I was there and the police would like walk us around the building and do everything with us, there was one lady living in the bottom unit named Jessica, and they knew her by name. Like the sheriff or the sergeant knocks on the door and it's like, hey, we're going to walk through. We're going to walk through. We're going to look at the building. And she's like, can you guys just leave? And the sergeant pauses. Jessica, is that you? Like they had dealt with her so frequently with other problems and like drug dealing problems and prostitution stings and stuff. They had seen her so much, they knew her by name, and it was just crazy. Yeah. Bro, is this a Cyberpunk side quest? No, this was just one building I sold when I worked in real estate. It was a beast. Yeah, we're like standing right here. We're standing here while I think we're getting the sewer line scoped, and the sewer access was like on the front. And so I'm standing here with like the sergeant while they're doing that. And we're looking out, there's like a big field all over here. And then all the way back in the corner is like a motel off in the distance. And we're just standing there hanging out. And the sergeant's like, yeah, just last night, there was an attempted murder over there. I was like, oh my God, does that happen a lot? He's like, well, I mean, in the basement unit of this very building, there was a whole story of a guy that like attacked somebody else with, I think he said it was with a sword. Like he had a katana, like a display katana, and he attacked one of his friends. Probably I think he said it was a fight over drugs or something. And it's like, it wasn't even real. It felt like this was a bad script for a TV show. But that's real estate in Greeley/Evans. It's just crazy. The whole thing is insane. It's always a katana. It's one of those things where like, if you're going to have a sword, chances are if you're attacking somebody with a sword, it's a katana. It's some dude that really likes anime and thinks that it's like really cool, and he practices when he's alone in his room, and then finally has his chance to like go and be like, okay, now's the time. I've been training for this. You know? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Luke went to witness protection after the incident. My name is Luke Stevens now, and I'll use MS Paint to convey my thoughts on stream. Yeah. It's real estate anywhere. Yeah. Well, except Boulder, it was always college students and they would just do stupid stuff. Just like stupid stuff. Like one of the duplexes, we had a buyer, they were interested in it, but we went in to do a tour. All the pictures look beautiful. And this is Boulder. So a duplex is like $2 million. Okay. It's $1 million per unit at the time. Now it's probably 1.5, but at the time it was like 2 million for this duplex. And the pictures looked beautiful because they had been taken between students living there. We were touring in maybe like November or something. It was like during the semester. And we showed up and it was like they had a party, I guess, the night before or a few days before, because the yard was just filled with beer cans. They still had the table out from beer pong. There was underwear everywhere scattered around, like they had just ripped clothes off and gone at it, like in every corner of the house. They didn't have trash cans. They just made a trash pile in the kitchen. It was kind of like a frat house, but like not organized, like just really crappy. It was just horrifying. Like the whole thing was ridiculous. I was like, there's always a pro and a con. At least they had wealthy parents who paid for it. So like to get in that duplex to rent it, they had to pay a security deposit that was first and last month's rent. And those landlords in Boulder for those colleges at CU Boulder, they make them, at least the property manager we were dealing with, they made them prepay for the entire school year up front. And they could still kick you out if you broke lease, and they kept all the money. So like those landlords were making good money no matter what. They're like, yeah, you can burn the house down. We don't care. We'll make money either way. But it was jarring. It was jarring. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Streamer by day, slumlord by night. Dude, I could never do the slumlord thing. I was just talking to somebody the other day because they're dealing with trying to get rid of some apartments that they own. And I was like, I've seen what you've had to deal with, man. I don't think I could do it. I think I could never do the multifamily real estate. I've seen how the sausage is made, you know, like I know what goes on because I've been on that side of it. And I don't think I could do it. You know, the stock market is clean. You don't have to get dirty. There's no Jessica. There's no Prince Silver. There's no pimps or landlords or attempted murder. It's just you buy the stock and you're good. So I think that's more my speed. I think that's more my speed. Frankly. We have 29 minutes? Oh, baby, before Jor. So let's get through this real quick and then we'll team up with Jor and we'll do the podcast. This is a video from IGN. I guess I should. News segment. This is a new video from IGN, the kings of internet gaming discourse, of course. And in this, it is called The Duskbloods. Yes, it's multiplayer, but have some faith. Are there any faith in Miyazaki-san? And I'm interested in hearing the argumentation because my perspective is the Duskbloods looks interesting. You know, I'm paying attention to it, but I still feel somewhat disappointed. You know, it'll still probably be good. Miyazaki's directing it. But I am frustrated that after the wild success of Elden Ring, they have like walked away from that, at least temporarily, and are doing these multiplayer projects like Night Rain. And I understand some people love Night Rain, Elden Ring Night Rain. That's fine. I played it and it literally was everything I liked about Elden Ring was stripped out because it's a multiplayer game. And so it's based on these tight rounds. It's based on going through these set bosses. It's based on some stuff changing dynamically, sure, but there's no character build customization. You just level up flat. It's a roguelite basically. And that's just not what I liked about Elden Ring. So all the stuff I loved about Elden Ring, the character customization, creating builds, the really tough bosses you might break your head against for hours and hours on end, that's just gone. And instead you have something else. You might love what they've replaced it with, but it's something else. So for me, it's just disappointing. And then seeing the Duskbloods revealed, it was like, oh, so the Night Rain was just practice for this. That's what it was. And, so for me, it's kind of disappointing. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but for me, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. But let's hear what they have to say. And if they're going to, I think that it's going to be in a constructive argument and video. I will agree. Somebody in chat said that they thought the title felt a little condescending. I could see that. I'm optimistic though. Let's see if they can convince us.
A lot of Bloodborne fans, I completely lost my shit when the Duskbloods was first revealed in the most recent Nintendo Direct. From the first frames of a gaunt, puffy-shirted invalid slumped in a mahogany chair under the light of the full moon.
Invalid? It seems a little harsh. you see one picture of him and you're like, an invalid. You're like, oh, that really escalated quickly.
To the gothic skylines of Yarnum-esque spires and steeples, to a clerically bestial boss with mangy lupine features and one huge arm, the Duskbloods wears its Bloodborne influences on its sleeve like a vampiric sigil carved into pale Victorian flesh. After a decade of fan outcry, FromSoft is finally giving fans what looks to be a spiritual successor to the beloved 2015 PS4 exclusive widely lauded as one of the best games ever made. But unfortunately for some, the operative word here is looks. After finding out what the Duskbloods actually is, my excitement began to diminish faster than my health bar in a poison swamp. Unlike Bloodborne, an action RPG, the Duskbloods is clearly labeled as a multiplayer action game. The official messaging on From Software's Japanese site describes it as a PvPvE title with online multiplayer at its core, in which up to 8 players will fight among themselves and against challenging foes. Looking at the various reactions around the internet, it's clear that I'm not the only FromSoft fan who was disappointed by this news.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, which is why I think they kind of buried that a little bit. For one, I think the reason why Nintendo pushed for this is because it's going to help them bolster Nintendo Online memberships, because it will require an online membership in order to play. So I think that's part of the reason why they pushed for it. Secondly, yeah, it's an 8-player PvPvE game. It's not exactly clear what the structure is, but this very well could be like their own version of an extraction game. It could be that type of thing with progression tied to what you extract with, or it might just be like a sort of mini battle royale where you're just trying to survive long enough to get out. I don't know. We don't know for sure. But either way, it will not play like Bloodborne at all. It just won't. Doesn't mean it's bad necessarily, but it's going to be very, very different. Ragnarok Aftershock on Twitch says, I dislike this angle. If you wanted a single player game and you're getting a multiplayer one, you do not need to have faith. It just isn't what you want, and that's final. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's, if you wanted Bloodborne 2, it's okay to be disappointed by this, because you're seeing a game that is reminiscent of that. But that's just not what it is. And I can absolutely understand the frustration. And for me, it also just doesn't seem to be something that I'm particularly interested in, at least based on what we know about it right now. Maybe Mr. Max Scoville, maybe? Anyway, maybe he's going to explain why we should be interested in this, because I feel like maybe I'm missing something. But I really have been surprised that the discourse around the game has pretty much immediately evaporated the moment it was revealed that it's PvPvE and it's like 8-player, requires online connectivity. Like, the excitement pretty much immediately died out, which I think is interesting. I'm Lazy Luke. Thank you for the sub. Thank you.
This isn't fair. But I thought about this and I realized something. As much as I'm not interested in a multiplayer action game that kind of looks like Bloodborne, the Duskbloods is still something worth getting excited about. It's a completely new project directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki. His track record speaks for itself, and he's the whole reason that we have the Soulsborne genre in the first place, because he was willing to try something new. So even though I'm skeptical, I think it's worth giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll tell you why. In a Creator's Voice blog post on the official Nintendo site, Miyazaki went into more detail. There are over a dozen characters for the player to choose from, each with their own identity and appearance, he explained.
Okay.
The game has a so-called hub area where players can choose their character, customize them, and enter online multiplayer. Upon concluding an online match, players then return to the hub, at which point they receive some sort of reward, whether they win or lose. Using these
win or lose being, I think, being the last one standing against the other players.
Rewards, players can further customize their character, and so the cycle continues. If that was all we had to go on, I would write this game off entirely because it sounds like yet another hero shooter shaped cash grab. Lots of people love multiplayer games. That's why they keep making them, which is great, except when publishers bank everything on live service projects thinking they've got the next Fortnite or Call of Duty on their hands, and then pull the plug, take the game offline, and lay everyone off after they discover the target demographic is still just playing Fortnite or Call of Duty. Thankfully, the Duskbloods doesn't sound like it's just checking boxes, but rather thinking outside of them. In the same blog post, Miyazaki elaborated on what makes the Duskbloods unique, stating that online matches are generally last player standing, but there are certain cases where victory conditions differ, like a powerful boss enemy suddenly appearing, forcing everyone to put their differences aside to kill it. Furthermore, players will have their own roles, which are personal goals separate from the overall victory conditions. For instance, if one player has the destined rival role applied, they are tasked with finding and defeating one specific player. Conversely, there's also a destined companion role in which one player must seek out another player and form a bond with them. So everyone's trying to kill each other except for two people who are trying to be friends? I don't know, sounds kinda interesting. It remains to be seen how this actually functions in-game, but I'm intrigued. It sounds a little bit like the game Werewolf, in which players have varying objectives, but no one's quite sure what everyone else is doing. Miyazaki notes, quote,
"Oh yeah, I know what game that is. It's like Midnight Werewolf or something like that. One Night Werewolf. Yeah, this. If you've never played this game, it's really, really interesting. But basically, like, each of the characters have different roles to play. So there's a werewolf in the midst, and you have to figure out who is the werewolf. But then each of them have different things. So like the seer will look at somebody's card. Everybody closes their eyes when the night starts, and the seer has an ability to like look at that card. The doppelganger gets to choose to be somebody else, I think is what it is. It's been a minute since I played. And then, you know, you'll go and there's a mason, there's the insomniac. The insomniac doesn't sleep at night, so gets to perform an extra action. The robber gets to, I think his thing is that he takes somebody else's card. It's very interesting. So there's all sorts of different roles to play, and then there's actually an app tied to it, and you select which characters are in the game at that moment. Game timer, you hit play, and then the app will read off what you do, and it's like, okay, close your eyes, everybody. Seer, open your eyes, because they have to go in a particular order, because some characters will swap character cards, some will lie about what they have, or whatever else. It's very interesting. But yeah, that could be interesting. I get that reference. I know that game.
I personally am not much of a PvP person, and I wanted to make something that's satisfying even for players like me. And this right here is music to my ears because I am the same way. A lot of people play Fortnite for the straightforward competition, but I always had a good time just scampering around the map trying to do the secondary objectives while avoiding getting murdered by roving bands of 10-year-olds. It sounds kind of like there'll be various ways to score victory points in the Duskbloods aside from just killing everyone else, and Miyazaki notes that some players may prefer to earn points by avoiding direct combat and instead engaging in more opportunistic behavior. How you earn points is entirely up to you. Interesting. FromSoft's action RPGs are primarily single-player experiences, but dating back to Demon's Souls, they've all had a multiplayer component. Not counting Sekiro, but that's also not an RPG. Interacting with other players has largely been optional, buried in comically obtuse matchmaking systems that involve ringing dainty little bells and performing ambiguous rituals with someone else's amputated fingers or enchanted jewelry. One of FromSoft's best qualities is how their games let players figure, or finger, things out for themselves, and while it's immensely rewarding in terms of lore and exploration, it can get a little tedious when you're just trying to connect with other players. Summoning another player online to help beat a boss may have a stigma among some hardcore players, but it's there for a reason, and helping other players online has always been at the core of FromSoft's action RPGs. In a 2010 interview with Eurogamer, Miyazaki explained the origins of the anonymous co-op in Demon's Souls. His inspiration was the time his car got stuck in the snow at the bottom of a hill, but got over it after the cars behind him gave his car a push, even though he hadn't directly asked them to help. As he poetically described it, you could probably call it a connection of mutual assistance between transient people. Driving home, Miyazaki wondered how he would have gotten along with these anonymous Good Samaritans if they'd met under different circumstances. Would they be friends, or would they fight? The Duskbloods sounds almost like the inverse of this, like if there was an 8-car pileup and everyone got out of their cars to argue, but then 2 of the people realized they went to high school together and were old friends, but then a grizzly bear showed up and everybody put their differences aside to try and scare it off.
I feel like, but can't you say this about like almost every one of these sort of extraction type games or battle royales with PvE elements? Like I feel like we're getting really artsy fartsy to just basically explain that it's a multiplayer game with some world events, you know, like, and we can bring up the RPG stuff, sure, but also, you know, if we're going to be consistent and we're going to be like, okay, look at his past track record, it's been solid. Yeah, with the RPGs, but like also Sekiro was also very good. But with those single player games that he's been very, very involved in, but like Night Rain, which he helped on pre-production for, he's not the director for that one, but he helped on pre-production with it. That also kind of a little more iffy for a lot of people. The Armored Core release was like, I think a solid 8.5 out of 10 for a lot of people. Not quite on the same level as like Elden Ring, for example. I think most people would agree with that. That also was something he did pre-production for, was not the primary game director for though. And so like we can look at just Miyazaki or we can look at From Software as a whole. And, you know, I think if we're starting to get to the point where we look at some specific slices or verticals of, well, the company, yeah, it's had a couple of these more questionable ones that weren't quite as good, but if we look over here, they did some really good stuff. I feel like we just start to cope a little bit. Again, the game could end up being really, really good, but I think people's primary frustration is just that they're like, yeah, Miyazaki's an amazing single player game dev and director, a world-class talent, no doubt, and it's frustrating to see him working on like a live service game. It just is.
In mind, no pun intended, this is rampant speculation about a video game coming out in 2026 based on statements Miyazaki made 15 years ago, so take it with a pinch of spirit ashes, if you will. PvP is a contentious topic among Soulsborne players, and one criticism regularly leveled against it is that it's not properly balanced. And yeah, no FromSoft gives players an immense amount of freedom to craft different builds. For instance, Elden Ring has 414 weapons and 714 pieces of armor, all of which can be upgraded and modified, and all of which scale depending on how you've assigned skill points to one of 10 starting classes across 8 different stats, and that's not even factoring in talismans, runes, items, or whatever else I'm forgetting.
Yeah, but I think the unbalanced stuff player to player works in a game like Elden Ring because, while yeah, you can, of course, run into other players, primarily the game is about fighting the bosses. And if the player is able to come up with a way to break the game and like figure out a way to overcome the boss or even like take advantage of a weakness or some exploit, it works for a game like Elden Ring. It feels cool that the player is kind of cheesing the boss at that point. But I just think once you get into the realm of PvP and co-op stuff, it definitely does become a problem. But that's been an age-old problem in these games, is like if you're not using the meta build, you're just not competitive in the co-op stuff or in the PvP stuff. So again, like if we're going to be consistent and look at past performance, this has been a problem. Night Rain doesn't run into it because players aren't fighting each other. They're working together. Do you really think like they'll master balance this time around? Maybe.
If you can do the math to min-max a lightning perfume bottle profit build, you can probably run the numbers on how much time and money it would take to fine-tune Elden Ring's PvP enough to make everyone happy. The Duskbloods will have some degree of character customization, but that's the customization of a handful of pre-made characters. The fact that the game is described as action and not action RPG suggests to me that figuring out what your character can do will be a lot more streamlining than futzing around with granular upgrades in a big spreadsheet.
I could be wrong. As far as I've seen so far, it could just also be translation issues, but all of the verbiage I've heard them use with regard to the Duskbloods is like character customization. they haven't really discussed builds or swapping out armor pieces or weapons and that type of thing. From my perspective, what they've described could also literally just mean cosmetic stuff, and like grinding out rounds and rounds of this just for cosmetic upgrades might be cool. But I think, yeah, you shouldn't go into this expecting like any sort of ARPG anything.
Worth pointing out that Elden Ring Night Rain's player progression has been streamlined in a similar fashion, with stat points being automatically allocated. It might be constricting for some fans of build crafting, but it means that players can get into the action faster, and FromSoft has less variables to account for in order to create a balanced experience. It's hard to talk about the Duskbloods without talking about Elden Ring Night Rain, and that's tricky since Night Rain hasn't actually come out yet. Still, a lot of people have formed opinions based on a recent network test, and what's been shown is likely indicative of Night Rain's basic gameplay loop, but it's not fair to assume that the Duskbloods will follow suit just because it's a multiplayer game. In fact, the messaging kinda got buried, but Night Rain isn't entirely a multiplayer game by default. The network test was just there to test that aspect of it, but supposedly Night Rain can be played solo, which I imagine will sit a lot better with a lot of folks.
My understanding is it's played solo where you don't have a party. They're considering adding duos because as of right now it's only for like single player or it's 3-player. But it's still going to be like an online game. It's still the same game functionally.
After all, even when you summon other players for co-op in Elden Ring, a lot of them insist on playing solo. The fact that Night Rain is connected to Elden Ring and not an entirely new property is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, Elden Ring sold almost 30 million copies, so you can't really fault Bandai Namco for wanting to cash in a bit on name brand recognition. At the same time, familiarity breeds contempt, and while there's definitely some new stuff showing up in Night Rain, there are also a lot of recycled elements and systems. That means less of a lift for the devs and less of a learning curve for returning players, but it also doesn't have that same new car smell or sense of mystery. Seeing a post-launch roguelike remix of a popular game as DLC is pretty common these days. God of War Ragnarok, The Last of Us Part 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry 6, Hitman World of Assassination, and even Splatoon 3 have all gotten modes that chop up their mechanics and systems and enemies into a randomized roguelike format.
Almost all of them do not charge $40 for it though. Some of them even include it for free. You know? So I think the standards are different.
It's sort of like taking a bunch of Thanksgiving leftovers and making a casserole once you've exhausted all the conventional meal configurations involving turkey, stuffing, and mashed potatoes. And I don't mean that as a slight against roguelikes or casseroles, it's a creative reuse of stuff you got lying around.
Let us eat.
To circle back to my original point, giving the Duskbloods a chance because Miyazaki's in charge, it's worth noting that he's not in charge of Night Rain. That's being directed by Junya Ishizaki, a FromSoft veteran who's been around since the original Dark Souls and acted as battle director for Elden Ring, which is not only an objectively awesome job description, but one that he obviously performed with flying colors. The last time Miyazaki let someone else take the wheel of one of his properties, we got the infamously divisive Dark Souls 2.
Well, also Armored Core. Are we just skipping over Armored Core? Because maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he's not, like, he didn't direct Armored Core. That was one of the other producers.
This up to throw shade at Night Rain or Mr. Ishizaki, but rather to point out that the reason Miyazaki stepped away was to establish a whole new universe, which was Bloodborne. And now he's stepping away from Elden Ring to work on the Duskbloods.
I give you.
But even this starts to feel like, well, if you don't like Night Rain, don't dismiss the Duskbloods because he's not directing that. It's like, okay. So like, we saying that it's bad? I think like if clearly the sentiment in the video is give the game a chance because Miyazaki is working on it. Okay. I will admit I get a little triggered when I hear somebody say, just have faith. Because as you can probably tell, I think hype can make you stupid, and it makes you vulnerable to getting screwed over by things that were otherwise like clearly red flags. And I don't think you can have faith in something or hope or hype or excitement without or while still maintaining an honestly like critical and skeptical viewpoint on it. At least be like, you know, transparent with it, which I think he is being right now. I think he's saying like, I'm excited for it because Miyazaki's working on it. So, you know, I can understand that. But I think my perspective is right now that as a fan of Miyazaki, I'm still disappointed in the Duskbloods because it's not what like this is not the type of game that I love from him. Maybe it ends up being a new favorite kind of game. That's very, very possible. But until we've seen it, I don't think there's reason to conclude that this will therefore be that. You know, it's just as much of an assumption to say that the Dusk Bloods is going to be really good because Miyazaki worked on it, as it is to say the Dusk Bloods is not going to be for me because it's a live service PvPvE game. Like, you're both sides, you're kind of assuming that either because of format or because of the director, it's going to be good or bad, or for you or not for you. So of course we're not going to be able to tell until we get gameplay or anything. It's still a year out, probably more. It's probably like a year and a half. It's probably later next year. But I think it's totally fine for people to feel frustrated and even disappointed by their choice to do this. I think a lot of people were hoping that they were either making Bloodborne 2 or they were working on Elden Ring 2 or something. And so to see them having spent all this time working on another live service game, I think it's totally fair feeling disappointed by that. Heavy Mero says Miyazaki doing multiplayer is like Scorsese doing a Marvel movie to me. I think that's how it feels. It's a good way of putting it. I think that's how it feels for a lot of people. Is it just feels like a lot of talent being squandered on something that nobody asked for. Like, I don't think anybody, if you polled them 3 weeks ago before this reveal and everything, I don't think anybody would answer on a survey, I want From Software to work on another 8-player PvPvE game exclusive on the Switch. Like, I don't think anybody asked for this. Could still be great. Sometimes when you have a visionary person, they're able to give you something you didn't even know you wanted. And, you end up being blown away by it. I remember watching the old video of the Microsoft executives responding to the announcement of the iPhone and laughing about it uproariously because they're like, it doesn't have a keyboard. No businessman will ever take a phone seriously that doesn't have a keyboard. It's like, it's just glass. You just type on it. Really? Like, they were so cocky about it, but it's because like the market at that point didn't know that they wanted that. They hadn't seen it done well before or done well enough before to convert them. And once it was done well enough, then it became the new trend and everybody moved towards just having, the flat display, no physical tactile keyboard anymore. But it took somebody doing it that well. And maybe the Dusk Bloods does it that well. Maybe it is just such a phenomenal game that it proves once and for all, okay, he's the GOAT. Maybe. But I think as of right now, it's okay for people to be like, damn it, guys, like, really? This is what we're doing? I think that's fine. And it just shows that they're going to have to do even more to win players over and excite them, because I think most FromSoft fans are probably starting pretty disappointed based on this announcement. Because also remember, a lot of FromSoft fans are playing on main consoles. They're playing on like the PlayStation, Xbox, PC. So this game has to be good enough that not only does it convince them that they should play an 8-player PvPvE game, it also has to be good enough that they are convinced to buy a $450 console and probably an $80 game. And a Nintendo Online subscription. Because all of that's bundled into this. So this needs to be a $600 game for a lot of people. And that raises the bar. That raises the standard. And I think for a lot of like hardcore FromSoft fans who love the ARPG stuff, especially, I don't know, man. It will literally be a tough sell. It would be a tough sell normally, even if it was on PlayStation and Xbox. And I think it's an even harder sell when you factor in console exclusivity, when you factor in all of the other things like the subscription service that they're going to sell you, all of those things. So I can understand what Mr. IGN, I think Max Scoville is his name. Where Max Scoville. I can understand what he's saying, kind of the argument at the core of the video, but I still think it's totally fine for people to be frustrated, disappointed, and to approach this very skeptically, of course. I don't think you need to be cynical or anything, but I think it's absolutely fine for people to be frustrated by it. I also find it kind of funny that a FromSoft game is exclusive to a console mainly marketed to children. Well, I think that's exactly why they are trying to I think that's exactly why they're trying to get this exclusive, because it's also the online stuff, but I think it excites them that they could get some more adults on the platform, because the one thing about kids is they don't have jobs. They can't spend as much money as adults. So their hope is that they can get that new sliver of the market, but we'll see. Let's see. Yeah. Lazy kids. Yeah, this used to be a great country. Kids don't even work anymore. Oh, shout out Luke Dale. None other than the living legend that is Luke Stevens TV. He has a great name. Audentes. Fortuna Evat. Indeed, my friend. It's always good to see a fellow Luke in the wild. Love to see it. Okay, fam, we've got the one and only Joraptor coming on for the podcast here in just a few short minutes. We've got Switch 2 stuff to talk about. We've got maybe updates to AC Shadows. We've got Ubisoft stuff. We've got all sorts of stuff. So we're going to do that. Let me double check that I'm caught up on all of our subs, super chats, memberships, all of that stuff. Loop again. Also, shout out Loop for resubbing while we were, I think that was late last stream. But either way, thank you for that resub, my friend. Thank you for that. And then on the YouTube side, let's catch up on these real quick. Where did I leave off? 27 months. Helldivers 2 board game. I think we touched on that. Oh yeah, okay, we left off here. Thank you again, Jeremiah, for the 20. Very, very generous. Kino Man Sky, thank you for the 279. Can you do the next news segment as Chewbacca, please? I will have to practice it. And we've run out of new segments to do, so we'll have to wait till next time. Caleb, again, thank you for that $20 super chat. That was very, very generous. Thank you for that. Kane, also thank you for the $10 super chat about Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Thank you for that. Spencer, thank you for the 2. Any advice for bartering with used car salesmen? Always be willing to walk away. The one thing they hate more than giving you a good deal is losing the sale. So just make it very, very clear. Act like you've got better things to do, even if that is like this is the car you really want. Never say you love the car. Never say that, like, I think this is it. You just straight face and be like, yeah, I mean, we can do the deal if you can knock $1,000 off. You can knock $15 or $1,500 off of it. And you know what? Throw in floor mats, and I'll buy right now. I'll do it right now. But that's what we're doing. And if you make me sit here another 45 minutes, I'm leaving. If you do stuff like that, they'll figure it out pretty quickly. Like once they know, they can't really push you around. But it's once you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, no, absolutely, take your time. Like that doesn't work. Stand up from the table. Yeah, stand up from the table. Start to leave. Grab your keys. When I bought a car late last year for my wife, I was very clear with them. I was like, I have 45 minutes. That's what we've got. So I want to look at some cars. I want to get an estimate on the car we would trade in. And this is what we got to do. But at 45 minutes, I have to go. And I need you to respect my time. I'll respect your time. And, you know, they worked pretty well. They were good at it. Oh, yeah. If you can get a pre-approval first, that's also really good, unless you're buying in cash. Sometimes, though, they treat you better if you're using a loan. With one of their lenders, because they get kickbacks on that. But I've also offered to buy cars with cash, and I've noticed that they're not getting as big of a kickback. But if you can show them that you're serious, be like, I'll do it right now, they start to pay attention. My dad left the dealership over $100. Salesman called 10 minutes later and was flabbergasted. Yeah. No, literally, because they think that you're not going to walk away for $100 or for 500 or for 1,000. You know, and if you do, and it's because most people don't. They'll play they'll try to play hardball, and they're like, no, you got to get the price down to 20,000. Then we got a deal. Sorry, I can't. I'm stuck at 21. Okay, if you're stuck, let's do the deal. Most of the time you can just like strong arm a little bit. Their margins are bigger than you think. Again, thank you, Jack, for the $10 super chat that simply reads poop. Caesar, thank you for that one. That looks like Watch Dogs 2 menu a bit. Yeah, the cool ASCII art thing that Marathon does. Logan, thank you for the 5. A real review of The Last of Us Part 2. Joel goes clubbing and gets a real bad headache. Yeah. Yeah. It's more like Joel, Abby went clubbing. That's kind of, Abby went clubbing. Joel got a headache, something like that. Yeah, in a Ryan Reynolds voice. That's the key. Caesar, thank you for that one. I'm sorry to hear you're going to jail for drugs. Hopefully it's just in schedule run. I live in Bosnia, lots of drugs here. I had 7 grams. I feel like it depends on what kind of drug you had. Because 7 grams of certain drugs is like you're going away forever. But I don't know. Thank you, Will, for the 5. Fallout 5 idea might require retcon lore-wise, but what if a new super mutant or new super mutants were being made and their design benefited from a Nemesis-like system? Dude, that would be really cool, and it would time out right, because the next Fallout's probably not until like 2020 or 2034, 2035. And so if they pushed it back just a little bit, they do Starfield 2 first, they could actually put the Nemesis system in because the patent expires, I believe, in 2036. So it could actually do that. That could be cool. Logan, think of that too as well. Someone please tell him to blink. It's off-putting. Oh yeah, when hosts, I don't use a teleprompter. I've experimented with a teleprompter before in front of the camera. I don't do it anymore though, because it makes you look crazy, because just like talking straight like this, and then their eyes are just moving a little bit as they're reading the teleprompter, and they don't want to blink because then they can't read the script anymore. And so it's really jarring. It also makes me feel like, you know, I'm a TikToker, because TikTokers just kind of yell at the camera while staring right into it. The latest news for Call of Duty will blow your mind. You know, it feels robotic. Throws me off. Anyway, Jor's gonna be mad at me because I just somehow spent 10 minutes doing TikTok impersonations. I blacked out for a minute. Okay, much love, everybody. I'm going to create a new stream event. If you're on Twitch, you can stay put. If you are on YouTube, just go back to the Luke Sims Live channel here in a second. Refresh it. You should see the new event for the podcast pop up. And then we will chat with jolly old Jor and have a jolly old time, okay? Much love. We'll see you very, very soon. Hugs and kisses. See you on the other side.